Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good stuff. Joining me here today, right over here, is Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing?
John, I am doing great today. I know it's Surprise Day, and we're going into a holiday weekend, and everything just seems on the up and up.
Really?
Yeah.
A bright, sunny day. If you're an Avatar fan, it might be that too. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. And of course, it is Wednesday, so also joining us is actress Erin Cummings and of course, Joey Bishop. How are you guys doing?
Yes, we are great. Joey has her Mexico dress on. She's ready for her trip next week to Mexico.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm so excited to be back with my friend Robert Meyer Burnett.
Oh, it's good to be next to you.
The smell of Drakkar Noir and ramen noodle soup in the morning.
Hey, come on, that is Black Orchid Tom Ford.
Oh, I'm sorry. I love Drakkar Noir. I have since 7th grade. It was a compliment.
Aren't they the same price? Drakkar Noir
and ramen noodles?
They're not the same price.
I do love being back with Rob and all of you. Thank you so much for having me.
And of course, sitting back here, he's joining you guys in the live chat today. Ray Orr is here, ladies and gentlemen. Ray, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
And of course, running the show today, producer Jonathan Voico. Jonathan, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How's everybody doing?
We are all doing well, and it is great to have you guys here. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it down into two parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. Here's how you get it on. Number one, got to be watching live. Number two, once we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats. So make sure you guys have your thoughts, opinions, questions, theories, whatever, ready to go. Because when we open up those super chats, we only leave them open for a couple of minutes because you guys fill them up so quick. So just fire them in then at that point. Also, want to remind you guys a little bit of housekeeping. If you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, maybe you're commuting, you're at the gym, good news, there is an audio-only version of our show that we creatively call the John Campea Show podcast. Just go onto your favorite podcasting app of choice, click subscribe, and it'll be there when you need it. Also, by the way, we have a secondary podcast feed just for our mailbag show, so go and subscribe to that as well. Okay, guys. With all that down, let's get into a couple of off the tops here, shall we? And our first off the top is this. So, you guys may know that a very popular animated show of the last, maybe one of the top 3 most popular animated shows of the last couple of decades is Avatar: The Last Airbender. People love Avatar Aang and his adventures against the Fire Nation and all that kind of stuff. And I was very late to the party for Avatar: The Last Airbender. I actually started watching it, and I watched the whole thing in about a week when the pandemic started. And then we were all kind of boxed up at home, and I didn't have a lot to do, so I was just watching a lot of stuff, and I decided I'll watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's delightful. It's really nice. I mean, I'm not passionately in love with it like a lot of people are, but I thought it was really quite good, and I enjoyed it. Also understood a lot better why so many people hated M. Night's movie version of it after watching the TV program of it. But now, of course, for those Avatar faithful, and we're not talking about James Cameron's one, you guys will know that Netflix has been producing a live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series. Well, according to reports, the production is done. They have now wrapped production on the series. It is finished and now goes in for, I'm sure, several months of post-production. But even the cast of the show put out a little celebratory picture of themselves standing around and celebrating the fact that they have now finished shooting this show. Now, here's the interesting thing. There's been some controversy surrounding this because initially the original creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender were attached to this show as well. They parted ways with Netflix, and Netflix is still doing it. There are those out there that feel that without the original creators, the live action series can't be any good, which I believe is absolutely ridiculous philosophy to have. A lot of movies get made that the original creators aren't there and aren't a part of. A lot of fantastic stuff gets done that does that. And by the way, just got to remind everybody that the original creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender were also involved with the M. Night Shyamalan. Now, they had limited involvement. Absolutely, they did. But, and the other thing is this too, just because you're able to create a fantastic animated version of something, a lot of people don't get, Rob, that animation and live action have to be handled very differently.
Oh, yes.
Because, and as much as I enjoyed Avatar The Last Airbender, if you just did that, but live action, but all the ever done, it wouldn't work nearly as well. It has to be adapted. Now, I'm not saying the original creator should not have been involved. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I think it's a ridiculous concept to say, well, if they weren't involved, that automatically means this can't work, especially when it's Netflix. Because while I often lament how terrible Netflix is at their original movies, other than HBO, they're the next, because HBO Max and HBO, they're the gold standard of putting quality into their series. Apple TV Plus is starting to give them a run for their money too. But other than them, Netflix has a tremendous track record of original series. Is it 100%? No. We can all name a couple of Netflix original series that didn't work, but the vast majority of them do. So do I think that this show is going to be amazing? Well, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic. And I think it's pretty cool hearing, because I'd almost forgotten about it when they came out and said, oh, by the way, production's done. I think that's great. I'm hoping we get to, I mean, maybe it might be overly optimistic, but I'm kind of hoping we hear of a release date before the end of the year. That's probably too ambitious. But anyway, Rob, you hear about this. What do you think about production being done on this, and where are your expectations for it right now?
Well, look, I too like Avatar: The Last Airbender. It is a very compelling, very engrossing series. I love the characters and I love the lore. So, look, the idea that we already saw one version of it turned into live action that got sham hammered.
Yes,
and
it got sham hammered.
I mean, I got that word from you. It wasn't good. It was, and you know, it's interesting. You talk about the difference between live action and animation. The thing is, when you're watching animation, psychologically, you're looking for different things out of animation than you are in, say, live action.
Yes.
And like in animation, if they want to show you a vista of a beautiful landscape, that's one thing. But in live action, it has to be a real vista of a beautiful landscape. I mean, it looks different. You're willing to accept different things in the terms of the storytelling, in terms of the characters. So am I excited for this? Look, I'm cautiously optimistic because this is a daunting thing to translate well into live action.
Yes.
We saw how it didn't work. So I'm hoping this is how
Cowboy Bebop.
Well, that's
right.
You know, that's another thing. I mean, I thought Cowboy Bebop got a little bit of a bad rap. I didn't think it was.
Yeah, I didn't think it was as bad as people made out to be, but it wasn't great.
It wasn't great. And again, you know, they sort of toned down things in the live action that worked really well in the animation. And it's a tough one. I mean, maybe they learned from that, but I'm optimistic because I like this show so much. So I will tune in. Do you know how many episodes it is? The first season?
My guess 10. It'll be probably between 8 and 12.
Yeah, something like that.
Somewhere in that range.
Because they shot, it says, for 7 months. That's a long
time.
Yeah.
Up in Vancouver, Canada. So you know it's going to look beautiful.
Yeah.
One way or the other. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you an Avatar: The Last Airbender fan? If so, do you have any enthusiasm for this live action adaptation? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's do one more off the top here, shall we? And that is this. You know, back when Disney announced, oh God, it's going on years now, when Disney announced that they were taking over Fox, everybody got excited about X-Men coming over. But of course, there were also people who were wise enough to also be excited about the idea of Fantastic Four coming over. And a part of that would mean Doctor Doom. Because Doctor Doom is simply one of the, I don't think you're going to find a lot of arguments from many people that Doctor Doom is at least one of the greatest comic book villains in the history of the medium. Mm-hmm. He's been done 4 times on screen, never once done right, and never once done well. So for a certain segment of the audience, the idea of Doctor Doom in a Marvel movie has been very exciting. Now, of course, we got a Fantastic Four movie coming. Whether or not Doctor Doom will be the initial villain in that, I personally think he should be. I know a lot of people think they should save him, but I think he's just too quintessential identified with Fantastic Four. I think you got to introduce him there. But some people thought, what about a solo movie? Because, Rob, if you remember, before the merger happened, what was it, Noah?
Yeah, it was Noah Hawley.
Noah Hawley had announced that Fox had commissioned him because he did Legion, and what else did he do? Fargo. They had commissioned him to do a Doctor Strange movie. He was all excited, but then the merger happened and that went away. Well, There is a report coming out today that there might be a Doctor Doom movie on the horizon. And it comes from the most notable comic book scooper of all time, Howard Stern. So here's what happened. Apparently Howard Stern was doing a show, and as they went to commercial, the mics were left hot. Now, of course, that's happened here on this show.
Yep.
Once or twice, where we've gone to a sponsor spot and the mics are still on, or we were ending the show, but the mics were still on for a while. I mean, it happens. It happens. But here's what's interesting. During this commercial run, you could hear the commercial playing and Howard Stern talking with his crew. And this is what Howard Stern said while talking to a crew. And it's hard to hear because it's overlapping with the commercials that are playing, but you can make it out. Here's what he said. He said, they're going over the schedule with me, and it's going to suck. I told you, I'm going to go do Doctor Doom. That's the thing. But believe me, I'm fucking miserable about it. I called Robert Downey Jr. and I was asking him for acting techniques. Do you have a number for Jon Favreau? I told you, I'm going to do Doctor Doom. Now, this has everybody kind of freaking out online. And while it on the surface looks very legitimate, because this happens, hot mics get left on. But Rob, I can tell you that while our mics have been left hot once in a while, I have never once, while the mics were hot, also just happened to reveal something earth-shakingly relevant to the world. When they've been left on, it's like, man, my underwear's really tight today. Or, oh man, I shouldn't have eaten that extra fish taco last night. I mean, it's been something along those lines, right? I will tell you this. I have zero belief that this is real. I mean, it really happened. He did say that. He said that over. I have zero belief that it's actually authentic, though. I believe this is all set up. And somebody was reminding me today that 20 years ago, Howard Stern did something similar where mics were left hot during a commercial and he revealed his involvement in a certain movie that he didn't end up being involved in. So, no. If this had turned on and said, oh man, the damn coffee maker's still out, blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, that's more believable. Just so happens that the mics were hot as they were talking about this Doctor Doom movie. And by the way, we already know all the upcoming movies and stuff in Phase 4. Phase 4 still has a long way to go. They're not about to go and run to get in front of cameras to shoot a Doctor Doom movie right now. And by the way, even if it was real, there's nothing in here. I see some people writing on Twitter, oh, what a terrible choice to pick Howard Stern to play Doctor Doom. Nobody said he was going to play Doctor Doom. I mean, even if on the 0.001% chance this is actually legit, it would be 99% certainty that Howard Stern would be going in to shoot for a day or 2 days or something. They would not be casting Howard Stern to play Doctor Doom. No. So, number one, even if this was real, he ain't playing Doctor Doom. It'd probably be some kind of small part, which would be fine depending on what it was he was doing. But number two, Rob, I have zero belief in the authenticity of this. I have no belief whatsoever. I believe this was all done completely on purpose by Howard Stern to get people talking, which is exactly what we're doing. So, I don't know, Rob, you hear about this. Again, we know mics get left hot. It happens.
Sure.
But let me ask you first, what would you think of the idea of a Howard Stern being in a Doctor Doom movie? What would you think of a Doctor Doom movie? And then lastly, but most importantly, what are the chances you think this is all legit?
Well, first of all, if he's in a Doctor Doom movie, he's probably interviewing Victor Von Doom when he comes to New York.
Oh, that's probably dead.
Yeah, to talk about the political situation of whatever's happening in Latveria or whatever. I mean, he would be playing himself, and we would see the Howard Stern show in the movie. But first of all, Marvel hasn't been. It's not like they do secret stuff. They plan for years in advance, and I just don't think that they would be doing a Doctor Doom movie before they do a Fantastic Four movie. So if anything, I believe that in Howard Stern's mind, he probably doesn't even know the difference. He's like, yeah, Doctor Doom's in this movie, so he's thinking it's a Doctor Doom. If it's at all legitimate, I think it's more probable that it's a Fantastic Four movie. He just called it the Doctor Doom movie because maybe in the movie he's actually interviewing Doctor Doom and that's part of the film. I don't know.
Right.
But no, I don't think this is like you. This isn't true. It's just not. But then again, in this day and age, John, I'm gonna reserve 5% of my. I'm gonna say I'm 95% sure this is BS, but I reserve 5% to be surprised by.
Who was it? Was it Bill Maher who was in Iron Man? Like, was Bill somebody? There was some celebrity in one of the Iron Man movies interviewing Tony Stark, and maybe that'll be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Aaron, what's it,
sorry.
Rob?
Wait, can
Right?
we go back real quick? You said 0%, right?
Zero.
Chance?
You want to put something on that?
I feel like
this is
Ray
it.
knows something.
I think this is it.
You think this is the one?
He will
This
make
is
an
the moment
appearance
you've been
in
waiting
Fantastic.
for?
Oh, that's so far away. Why are we going to make this?
I know it would be forever from now that we
man.
find
Okay,
anything
never
out.
mind. Sorry, Aaron. Sorry,
All right.
John.
No,
Go
you're
ahead.
good.
So let me go over to Aaron on this. I mean, listen, we've all been very familiar with Howard Stern, who is a master of keeping himself in the conversation. I mean, he's made a career out of it. He's great at it. But anyway, you hear this. What do you think the chances are that this was a legit, honest, oops, we left the mics on? Or do you think this is a work?
You know what? I'm honestly very torn about this. I'm a little 50-50, and here's why. Number one, it's not like the Howard Stern show has been, on the air for a few years. It's not like Howard Stern has been in the middle of a transition and now has, new people running his programming, or was in Vegas and everybody was drunk and I'm just kidding, we weren't all drunk. But yes, these things do happen, but you have to remember the Howard Stern show, it has been on the air for decades and is one of the most well-oiled machines and has many people behind the scenes, not just our beloved Jonathan, but many, many people running the show. And so I feel like a hot mic situation is a little less likely in such a well-oiled machine. At the same time, I don't see them saying, hey, we're going to do this really funny thing where we're talking in the background over our advertising that has paid a lot of money to have that advertising spot, detracting from what we are actually supposed to be advertising, unless it was a fake advertisement. I don't know. I also see him, given that the Howard Stern show is not the John Campea show. So for them and their audience, the news of a Doctor Doom movie or Doctor Doom being in a movie or Howard Stern playing Doctor Doom is not the earth-shattering news for their market as it is perhaps on our show. If our show had a slip like that, that would be massive. Howard Stern having a slip like that, that's not necessarily his world. So for him, it's just like, yeah, this Doctor Doom thing. I mean, as he says, if this is real, I'm miserable about it. So it's not like he thinks that this is the exciting thing that, I also think that's an odd thing to say if you were trying to, get some sort of enthusiasm built up for it. I really am 50-50 on this. I think that, like Rob said, it's a much better assessment that Dr. Doom comes and he is interviewing him as Howard Stern. For him to say, yeah, I called Robert Downey Jr. and got to get some acting tips. Well, that's just not how the studio would assign you an acting coach and they would lock you in a basement somewhere for months and say, you're going to learn how to play Dr. Doom. So yeah, I'm 50-50 on whether this is actually legit news, but I think that there's a good chance it could be legit news in a movie that is not centered around Dr. Doom, but at least has the character of Dr. Doom. And like Rob said, that Howard Stern as himself would interview that character.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this whole thing with the Howard Stern thing? I believe it's an absolute work generated to get, fools like me talking Howard Stern and promoting Howard Stern. I think it's exactly what he designed it to do. And damn it, the dude's a brilliant genius because it absolutely worked. Or do you think there's a chance here this is legit, that there is a Dr. Doom movie, that he's going to be doing it, that he's going to be working, some small role, whatever. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys, before we get into our main topics here today, we're going to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of our show. They're one of the first sponsors of the John Campea Show, our friends over at Stamps.com. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Stamps.com. Now, guys, as a small business owner myself, I am always looking for ways to save costs, yes, but I know that our most valuable resource is time, and I'm always looking for things that can save us time. Stamps.com saves you both. Because when you're running a small business, every second counts. You can't afford to waste a single moment. So why are you still taking time out of your day to go to the post office when you could be using Stamps.com instead? Stamps.com makes mailing and shipping quick, easy, and cost-effective. How cost-effective? Well, you can get discounts that you can't find anywhere else, like up to 30% off USPS rates and 86% off UPS. And there's no special hardware technology you need. All you need is your regular computer and printer, no special supplies or equipment required. So guys, stop wasting time and start saving money when you use Stamps.com to mail and ship. Sign up with the promo code CAMPEA for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts needed. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and enter the code CAMPEA. And a big thank you to our friends at Stamps.com for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Okay, guys, with that down, let's now get into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics on the show? Well, that's easy. You guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. That down, Aaron, what is our first main topic today?
Our first main topic comes to us from Sean Wren. Hey, John and the Funky Bunch. Hope you're having a crackin' week. We are. Thank you. My favorite film franchise is James Bond, but it looks like I will be waiting for a while for Bond 26. Speaking to Deadline, Barbara Broccoli stated the next 007 is at least 2 years away because they're reinventing the character. While I'm cool with the wait to get a plan together, I worry about the reinventing comment, especially after No Time to Die and Craig's era. What do you folks think? Cheers.
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, listen, the biggest topic of conversation, I mean, month by month it'll change, like from some DC topic or some Marvel topic or some Star Wars topic. But overall, who's the next Bond is always one of the topics, right? That's always one of the big discussion points around movie fans' water coolers. Who's the next Bond? So Barbara Broccoli, the High Lord and Emperor of all things James Bond, was asked, so who's in the running right now? Who's in the running to be the next Bond? And she said the following. She said this: nobody's in the running, which I thought was interesting. We're working out where to go with them. We're talking that through. There isn't a script, and we can't come up with one until we decide how we're going to approach the next film, because really, it's a reinvention of Bond. We're reinventing who he is, and that takes time. I say that filming is at least 2 years away. And that, of course, comes to us from Barbara Broccoli. And by 2 years away, that means at minimum, the next Bond film actually coming out in theaters is at least 3 years away. Now, I know when people see that phrase, we're reinventing Bond, I can hear the gasping panic sweeping across the world like a great disturbance in the forest when millions of crying voices cried out in terror and then suddenly silenced. Here's the thing. I really don't read anything into it at all, because when you look at Roger Moore to Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Timothy Dalton, Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, whatever, every single time a new Bond has come in, there has been, to a degree, a reinvention of the character. Mm-hmm. They haven't been the same. They all hold some core identity, absolutely. But like, again, when you look at Timothy Dalton's Bond and like George Lazenby's Bond, they're two different characters in most respects. So when she says we're reinventing the character, I know that semantically you can look at that and your mind can go to this terrible place that he's now going to be a New York club DJ who collects Nikes and likes to, pop bottles on whatever. I get it where people minds will go there. I think that's an overly extreme interpretation of what she said. Because Rob, she's also said recently when asked about, hey, are you guys considering giving us a female Bond? And she talked about, she didn't just say, no, Bond is male. She talked about there are certain core things about Bond that always need to be there. And one of those things is that he's a guy. James Bond is a guy. So she clearly recognizes there are core essentials about Bond that will always need to be a part and focus. So when she says reinventing the character, I honestly don't read too much into that, other than the fact that you're going to get a slightly different interpretation, just like they do every time a new James Bond actor comes along. To me, the more interesting thing is the whole idea that we're at least 3 years away from another movie. And I like the fact, Rob, I got to say, that they are saying, we're not going to bother casting this character until we got a script. Because you want the actor you cast to fit that script. You don't want to have to write the script to fit the actor. Once you've got your Bond who's going to be Bond for a few years, yeah, then you start doing that a little bit. But I kind of like that they're taking this approach. Anyway, Rob, in that one short statement, there is a number of things to unpack there. So as you look at that, as the biggest Bond fan here, what did you interpret out? What stood out to you the most?
Well, I always think back to 1995's GoldenEye, Pierce Brosnan's first movie, when Judi Dench was introduced.
And one of the great video games of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Judi Dench was introduced, she looks at Bond and she says, "You're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur. You're a product of the Cold War." That's James Bond in a nutshell. And the problem is, when James Bond was created, we had the Soviet Union. You had, communism was the big threat. There was mutually assured destruction. And the world that James Bond was created to serve does not exist anymore. So I think one of the real problems with making a Bond movie is who's the villain, what's he supposed to do, who's he going after. War now is asymmetric. It's completely different. So you have to, when they say reinvent Bond, I think what they really mean is, what are we going to have Bond do? And I think with the Daniel Craig era, they made Bond more personal. I think they're looking around. You know what? If I was looking at if somebody said, Rob, you have to make a James Bond movie, you know where I would look to? Top Gun Maverick. And in Top Gun Maverick, you would have a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, a product of the Cold War, who has been given, he's tasked with training a new Secret Service, new MI6. But this is an MI6 that has come to, they've grown up in a world where HR departments are accepting all kinds of complaints. You can't just bed every beautiful woman you want. You have to worry about, have you harassed them? You have to make sure that all kinds of people there's representation. And what does a guy like James Bond do? He's like, cares. And everyone else is like, no, it's time for you to care. And you could do that. You could make a new James Bond who is now put in charge of MI6, do something different. And I think that they're struggling, because what are you going to do when you have Ethan Hunt and you have the entire Impossible Mission Force doing Fallout? That out-bonded Bond, and all these other movies, whether you're watching Dwayne Johnson or whether you're watching Jason Statham, you're watching Hobbs and Shaw. How do you make James Bond relevant for our audiences today? And I think that's what they're trying to figure out. And it's tough. And I think that they really have to do some soul searching, because this is a character that every year that goes by becomes less and less relevant, at least in terms of its literary, how it was originally created. And I think when they say reinvent James Bond, I think they really mean that. And I think the character needs reinvention. Casino Royale was a great film. I think all the other Bond movies.
I think it's my all-time favorite Bond film.
It's great. But even the Craig movies they wanted to make it one long story. And even Skyfall was more like the Dark Knight meets James Bond, the Joker with Silva and all that. I just think it's a tough one, man. And I don't envy the task. But hey, I'll be the first in line for the new Bond.
It's an interesting observation you make, because you're talking about it being in danger of becoming irrelevant, right? And some other people who are looking at the smaller picture may say, well, hey, wait a minute. We are in an era right now of Bond films that are the most successful Bond films ever made. Yes, but that's hanging on to the vestiges of, I think, the last kind of gas. I love the way you say it. It's not so much James Bond hasn't changed. The world in which James Bond is changing. And I love that observation on that. Anyway, Aaron, you hear about this, you hear these words, 3 years, we're not looking at anybody yet, we don't have a script, we're reinventing Bond. There's a lot, again, one short paragraph, a lot to unpack. What stood out to you in that statement?
Well, I think that it's to say that we can't cast James Bond until we have a script. I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that this is a chicken egg situation because so much of how that actor is going to be as Bond will inform the script. It's the same thing. I always like to go back to the very first episode of Friends, the pilot of Friends. If you go back and watch it, it is terrible. Now, you may say, well, it was still terrible 10 years later. That's all an opinion. However, the characters were very flat. You know, it's like Joey was the guy and he liked the girl. It was very static. And then all of a sudden, as the show went on, the characters became more of the actors and the actors became more of the characters. They became more intertwined. So I feel like the best way to reinvent the Bond franchise is to figure out who epitomizes Bond today, who epitomizes the kind of misogynistic, machismo, big dick swinging dude that still makes sense and isn't just gross.
But don't you have to first figure out, like you just said, who embodies this, and this? Well, but don't you first have to figure out what you want this new actor to embody? Like, don't you have to decide that first before going out to get the actor to fit it?
Yes. However, as Barbara Broccoli stated, there is a core essence to this character. There is the core of who this character is, that is not going to change. So figure out, okay, let's create our master list of all of the different actors that we can see playing this part, whether it's Timothy Chalamet or Michael Fassbender or Idris Elba. And I'm just shouting out some names from the chat here. Ooh, John Cena, he's my first little favorite. I don't know if it works, but I like John Cena for anything. So figure out who's our master list of who we could consider. Okay, who best epitomizes what we see as a current Bond, and then create the script that makes sense for that actor, knowing that that actor is going to play Bond for the next 3 to 5 films. I think that it's a chicken egg situation and they go hand in hand. And that's what I would do, because at the end of the day, the script is just story. The script is story. Bond himself is character. And that so much is going to depend on who is playing that character. So I think the idea of we're going to write a script first and then we're going to find an actor to fit in there, well, that's always going to be finding, a square peg to fit in a round hole. Create the hole to fit. If you the glory hole, he will come.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Wow.
our aviation gin shot of the day goes to Aaron Cummings.
So often I
Shot
do
of
it
the
on
day.
purpose, and that time it just happened. Sometimes the genius just happens.
No off position on the genius switch.
There you go.
Wow.
Now, I mean, look, I disagree. I mean, I disagree with that. Like, I always think you cast the right actor, because when you're talking about what actor fits the role, and I think one of the things that she's saying when she says we're going to reinvent the character, and I think that what she's saying is we need to first figure out who this Bond is going to be. Who is James Bond now? Actually, you know what? Let's go back to that for a second, Jonathan. Could you bring up her statement again?
Yeah.
This is what she said. Because I'm bringing it back up just to refresh my own memory here. So nobody is in the running. We're working out where to go with them. We're talking that through. There isn't a script, and we can't come up with one until we decide how we're going to approach the next film. Because really, it's a reinvention of Bond. We're reinventing him where it takes time. Blah 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 blah.
Okay, but what about Heath Ledger as Joker and then Joaquin Phoenix as Joker? Like, sure, there was a script, but that Joker by Joaquin Phoenix was a complete reinvention. And without having I guarantee you, if you took the very first Joker script, pre-Joaquin Phoenix being cast in it, and you compared that script to the final product, those things would be very different.
Sure, but Christopher Nolan talked about that situation specifically. He said, because he talked about this when the world exploded, when they announced that Brokeback Mountain Boy was going to be Joker, he said when him and Jonathan, who's his brother, he said when we sat and looked at that script and then saw Heath Ledger, we knew he can do this guy. This guy and him are right on. So that's actually an example of where the script dictated for Christopher and Jonathan Nolan that Heath Ledger was actually the guy, and then the rest of the world who blew up at the idea. Well, we blew up at the idea because we didn't know the script.
Right, but I'm talking about the Joaquin Phoenix version.
Right, which the script, that came first as well. Before, like, Joaquin signed up because of the script, I believe.
But I still think it's a chicken egg situation.
Right. And it can go either way because, again, they're not just bringing on this James Bond for one film. They're talking about James Bond's got to be there, hopefully for 3, 4, 5 films.
Right.
Anyway, guys, the question is for you. A lot of things said there by Barbara Broccoli in a short amount of time. What stood out to you the most? What stands out to you the most? Do you still have a favorite person to play James Bond? Mine is still Henry Cavill, of course. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. Aaron, what is our second main topic today?
This comes to us from Anthony. Just got done finishing episode 4 of Miss Marvel, and my goodness, this show is continuously surprising me every single time. No spoilers, but that final scene gave me literal chills. But the rest of the episode revealed a bit more about Kamala's family history and where they come from. Honestly, I don't know what to think. Is she Inhuman or something else? How are they going to bring her into the greater MCU? Thanks a bunch, and bring on the filthy.
Thanks a lot for saying that in. And of course, you guys know that the show that is, the way I keep describing it is this. It is just a show that gives me joy. I watch it and my heart smiles. And it's funny because this morning, Rob walked in, went immediately to the coffee machine, which is always the first thing he does. And the very first thing he said was, I might be paraphrasing a bit, how good is Ms. Marvel? It was the very first thing he said. And I'm like, right? And now they're starting to get more into the mythology of it and the background of it and the clandestines and the djinn and all this kind of stuff. Now, I've seen a lot of stuff online after last night's episode about, well, is she an Inhuman? A lot of people wondering that. I actually got the complete opposite of that. I think the more and more they're revealing, it's more and more clear she's not Inhuman. And which, fine, again, we're not going to go into details. But other than the fact that the setting, of course, we knew out from the end of the last episode, they're going to Pakistan. And what's the name of the city?
Karachi.
They go to Karachi. The whole, Rob, you and I were talking about this earlier. The family dynamic is amazing. Every single episode, I fall more and more in love with our lead girl. I love the mom character more and more. And there's clearly more to this story than we've been revealed yet. And again, Rob, you and I were just talking prior to the show starting. I reasserted again. This is the best thing Marvel has put on TV since WandaVision. And I'm loving it. Anyway, you had a chance to see the episode last night. What do you think about the episode and how you feel about the show overall now 4 episodes in?
Well, I think, first of all, I really like this episode a lot. I've really liked episodes 3 and 4. I think the show is wonderful. And like I was saying to you, one of my favorite things about genre entertainment, I say science fiction, fantasy, horror, whatever, is when you can tell a great story in a fantasy context, but also at the same time, keep it meaningful and relevant. This is a really great family story. I think in the last episode, pre-wedding, it was the father that Kamala's watching the father give the son advice about what it
Beautiful
is to get
scene,
married.
yeah.
And there's a great scene where he says, look, you can fear this or you can love this. You can bring fear into something or bring love into something. And when you go into a marriage, you bring love. There's nothing to fear. And I think that the family dynamic here, and I'll say this, there's a lot of people that have said online, there's a lot of pundits, people I respect even, that, they're saying that, they call this the MCU, or they don't like the fact that this film or this series, the way it portrays relationships between women, mothers and daughters, grandmothers and daughters, I think is wonderful. And it's so uplifting. And it's so, one of the great scenes in this new episode was when, I guess, the Nana, the grandmother,
Nani, I think
Nani
they call her.
is explaining that her heart, her passport says that she's Pakistani, but her heart is Indian.
Right.
And the schism between the separation between Pakistan and India, and this idea that the jinn world is separated from our world. I mean, there's so many thematic things that are going on in the show that I think are being going unrecognized. And there's a lot going on. You can watch a show and see it as a coming of age story of a teenage female superhero. You can see that. Certainly wonderful. I like all of that. But also there's a much deeper story going on here that's about family and about ancestors and about the state of the world. You know, I was telling you when I was in Korea in 2018 working on a documentary, there was this feeling amongst many of the people I interviewed to see Korea be reunified. And I was surprised by that. You know, so many people, because I thought, well, they must hate the North Koreans. That wasn't the case at all. And to hear them even addressing the idea of Pakistan and India's history and the fact that, like, I didn't get offended where someone says, oh, the white male patriarchy, when the
British,
the British colonists, they mention that, but that's just history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, I didn't get offended. I'm like, here's people that would love to be whole again. And I think that that's what families are all about. We want to be a whole family. And like we were talking about, that marriage sequence and the dancing and that dance number, this is a wonderful program that I think it's going to be rediscovered for a long time to come. And it's a really terrific show. And I really like the twist in this episode.
The little twist that happens there. Yeah.
little twist.
And by the way, the ending.
That's what
The ending was
because the ending brought all of these elements together. In case you didn't know what we were just addressing on this show, let's show you.
Yeah, I really dug that. Anyway, Aaron, I know you've been following along with the show. You and I were talking about how, this is about a Pakistani family, but really one of the cool things about this, much like Big Fat Greek Wedding and others, is that, that's a Greek family. This is a Pakistani family. We all see our families. And it's the same mom. It's the same whatever. But anyway, you've been watching this. What did you think about the new, without giving too much away, what do you think about the new episode? And how are you feeling about the show overall so far?
Oh, I don't think that I could love it anymore. And then I see a new episode and I find new reasons to love it. And, one of the things, speaking to what you just said, is I'm shocked every episode at how I see myself in that character.
Right.
And not just because we both have lady parts, but because when she is hanging out the window, when she first gets to Karachi, we've seen that scene a million times, and it's always Manhattan. It's always New York. We always see. And to see this city in a country like I never saw Pakistan in the way that I'm seeing it in this episode, in the way that it's being portrayed. I'm seeing a part of the world that I've seen portrayed on the news and and it's not portrayed like that. And I go, oh shit, wow, that reminds me of the first time that I went to Manhattan and the joy and the splendor and the wonder of the first time that I saw all those big buildings in New York. And this is a girl who literally is in New York all
Jersey
the time.
girl.
She's a Jersey girl. So, for her to see that and have this experience of wonder and amazement, and for us to actually be in the market, and for the first thing they do is to go and have drinks at the boat club, I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So this is blowing my mind.
You can't come in because you're wearing jeans.
Right. Exactly. Like it's very much like, we're going to let you know what's happening in this world, because you have I have a very different idea of what she's going to go into when she says, oh, we're going to go to Pakistan. I have an idea of what I think that means. And then they go and they totally blow that out of the water, which I think is beautiful. It makes me more educated as a viewer about a part of the world that I know nothing about. When they're talking about what happened historically, about why there is a separation between Pakistan and India and what partition was and all those things, in addition to the awesome fight scenes and this really cool story about the jinn and what's happening and whether she's a superhero and why she is and all these things, there's also, guys and gals just sitting around a campfire playing music and doing things that we've all done that are so relatable. So that's one of the things that I'm really loving about this show, is that in addition to the MCU aspect that I love and the superhero aspect that I'm excited about, I also feel like I'm watching Friends. When I see the mom and the grandmother together, and the mom is running around picking up,
Don't get too many details.
Sorry. The relationships are very identifiable. It reminds me a lot of me, my mom, and my grandmother.
Also, John, you know what else they did on this show? The cosmology of the Marvel universe.
They keep expanding it.
And I'm like, there's a map that we see in this episode, and I'm like, what does this mean in terms of the multiverse, in terms of the gods, in terms of magic and the supernatural? I mean, they have a lot. They have a lot that they have expanded and how does it all play into everything?
Yeah, it's raising a lot of questions. I will say this. There's an element of this episode, and I'll just tell you the characters. I'm not going to tell you what they do or how they do it or anything like that. But there are some characters here that just refer to as the Red Daggers. I was not thrilled with how that was handled, to be honest with you. Like, that's probably the one part of the episode that I was like, this is not. It's the one part of the show, really, that I went, nah, this is not firing at all. So can we get back to Nakia? Can we get back to Bruno and Nakia? But don't get me wrong, I love the fact that they're in Pakistan there. But again, the Red Dagger stuff didn't work for me. So, but overall, episode's great. They continue to expand the world, expand the MCU, give us deeper understanding of the characters. This show is magnificent. I'm so loving it right now. Question is for you guys. Did you have a chance to see the episode last night? If so, what parts of it worked with you? What parts didn't work for you? Maybe you love the Red Daggers, maybe you didn't. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. Before we move on to our next topic, we're going to take another second here and thank another sponsor of today's video, our friends at Masterclass. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Masterclass. You guys know we love Masterclass around here and have been talking about them for a while. With over 100 classes from a wide range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to do is closer than you think. And you guys know one of my favorite classes on here is Bob Iger teaching business strategy and leadership. I go back and watch that like all the time. But also I recently discovered the new class on comedy by Steve Martin, where it includes comedy screenwriting as he does this great case study for one of my all-time favorite comedies, Roxanne. I've gotten more into screenwriting by taking a class from Aaron Sorkin himself. And of course, you guys know I'm a poker guy and I love my good Canadian kid, Daniel Negreanu, and I've been watching his stuff on poker strategy. It's absolutely fantastic. So guys, we highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every single masterclass. And as a John Campea Show viewer and listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. So go to masterclass.com/Campea. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off Masterclass. And a big thank you to our friends at Masterclass for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. Make sure you go down and look near the top of the description of the video, and you'll see a list of all of our sponsors and the promo codes, and go and check them out as a thank you for supporting our show. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Aaron, what is our third main topic today?
This comes to us from Bondi Blue. Hey, John and team. So this morning, a trailer came out for a new murder mystery called See How They Run. Thing is, I've never even heard of this movie up until now, and it's now one of my most anticipated movies of the year after watching the trailer. If I didn't know better, I would almost think it's a Knives Out movie. Did you guys have a chance to see the trailer, and what did you think of it? The cast looks amazing, too. Thanks.
I am with you, Bondi Blue. I mean, maybe we did talk about it at some point last year or something, but when this trailer dropped, I was like, I have no recollection of hearing about this movie at all. And you've got 2 Academy Award winners, 2 Academy Award winners, 4 Academy Award nominated actors all in there. I mean, Saoirse Ronan has 4 Academy Award nominations at whatever her age is, which is absolutely like nutty. Anyway, I started watching this trailer just because I'm already fascinated by the cast. And I watched this and I'm like, I am in love with this trailer. I'm absolutely in love with it. Now, for those of you who don't know what this movie's about, this comes to us from the folks over at Variety. Right, the following. Searchlight Pictures has pulled back the curtain on See How They Run, the production company's upcoming murder mystery starring detective duo played by Sam Rockwell and Saoirse Ronan. The film opens in theaters September 30th. The first footage introduces viewers to Rockwell's seasoned Inspector Stoppard and Ronan's rookie constable Stalker. The pair team up to solve a murder most foul in London's West End theatre district during the 1950s, investigating the seedy underbelly of England's glamorous artists and turning over a litany of brash creative suspects. And that again comes to us from Variety. You are so bang on the money when you say it felt like a Knives Out trailer.
Yeah.
It absolutely did. This is another movie that, like Knives Out, is totally leaning into the Agatha Christie-ness of it. And I'm all here for it. And by the way, there's a running gag in the trailer that I thought, okay, I'm going to get over this real quick. But it just kept getting funnier with Saoirse Ronan's constantly saying, they did it. I mean, that was great. That was absolutely great. The cast from top to bottom looks fabulous. I love seeing Sam Rockwell in the lead because we haven't seen that a lot. I mean, this trailer was delightful. I'm like, yeah, I already did love murder mysteries, like a good murder mystery before Knives Out. Knives Out just really intensified that love for them. So to have this come out, I'm super excited for it, especially when it came out of nowhere off my radar. I think this trailer's terrific. Rob, you had a chance to see it. What do you think about the trailer, and where's your anticipation level like for the movie?
Dude, like you, I'm like, where did this movie come from? I don't think I ever heard of this movie. And I have to say, watching this trailer, first of all, I'll watch anything that's set for whatever reason inside the milieu of the theater. One of my, you love Noises Off, and I
one of my favorite comedies of all time.
All About Eve is one of my favorite movies of all time. That's set in the theater world. I think it has the best screenplay ever written. But this film, everything about this movie, from the cast to the production design, the cinematography, this movie, again, I don't use this word often for movies, but this movie looks delicious. Looks delicious. And you want to put it in your mouth because it's going to taste so good going down, right?
Aaron, you had a chance to see this trailer. What did you think about it?
It's moist. It's moist. This movie is moist.
I love it. One of my top 3 all-time favorite films is Clue. This, yes, it gave me Knives Out vibes, but Knives Out gave me Clue vibes, and put together, as Rob said, in a theater, one of my favorite settings on the planet. I just think it's wonderful. And I agree. I was actually really surprised, Saoirse Ronan being so funny, because in a lot of the things that she does, they're period dramas, and there may be a hint of a little dose of cheekiness, but she's straight up funny in this trailer. I mean, just right there, you see such a wonderful comedic element that she brings to it, juxtaposed against Sam Rockwell's very flat, and usually he's the comedic twist, but I like him being the straight man. I like him being the straight man to her comedic element. So I feel like the two of them together are gonna be this wonderful dynamic. I love Sam Rockwell in everything he does. I want more Sam Rockwell led films. You know what? Sam Rockwell for Bond. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Just put it out. I don't know if it would work, but it's my suggestion. And yes, the cast is phenomenal. A lot of the people in the cast, I'm not familiar with, like, oh yeah, that's that person. But when I look them up on IMDb, I go, oh my gosh, right, they were in this, and they were in this, and they were in this. And to me, those journeyman actors, those actors that you just go, I don't know what their name is, but then you look them up and you go, oh my God, they've been in all these things that I love. I respond to that, because then, unlike Knives Out, instead of being just a cast of really famous people, which, to the credit of Knives Out, they're all very talented, famous people, but it's not just a series of faces that I go, oh yeah, they cast this famous person. Oh, they cast that famous person. I look and I go, wow, these are just really talented characters that are immersed in, really talented actors immersed in the characters that I can just buy into this world and go for the ride. Yeah. I'm really excited about this.
All right, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to see the trailer for See How They Run? If so, what did you think about it? Maybe murder mystery is not your sort of thing, and the trailer just didn't work for you. Maybe you're like us, and it really is, and it really did work for you. And guys, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4, shall we? Aaron, what is our 4th main topic today?
This comes to us from Alton Wang. Fans are going crazy thinking that Hugh Jackman is going to be Wolverine in Deadpool 3 because of a post that he made on Twitter. The post is him staring at his phone with a surprised look on his face. How does this thing, what is it, okay, what are we saying here? Does this mean that he's going to be in Deadpool 3? It could mean 1,000 things. He already said that he does not want to play Wolverine. What do you think that his post means, if anything?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Alton. Okay, so there is obviously for a long time, people have talked about Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine, despite the fact that over and over and over and over and over and over again, he keeps saying, no, I'm not. I'm done. I served my time. I fought the good fight. Let me take a break and not eat 12 eggs and 5 pounds of chicken breast and 7 hours of workouts every single day. Thank you very much.
That's my Wednesday morning right there, baby.
And of course, the whole conversation is only buoyed up by the fact that the greatest online faux feud in history between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, which makes going on Twitter worth it every day. That just fuels speculation. The fact that in Deadpool movies, he's referenced Hugh Jackman and Wolverine many, 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 many times, right? On paper, it seems like a match made in heaven. A movie like Deadpool, now in Marvel, Hugh Jackman having said before, oh man, I would have loved to have been Wolverine in the MCU at different points. The fact that you have this ongoing thing with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, it just provides, and with the what's the word I'm looking for? The satirical nature of Deadpool really allows you to have a one-off thing of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, even if it's a bit thing. So for all these reasons, a lot of people have kept the flame of hope alive that they would see this. So let's bring up that webpage, Jonathan.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Let's bring up the webpage. If you scroll down a little bit, hopefully So Hugh Jackman puts out this very cryptic kind of tweet, right? Of him looking at his phone going, what? And of course, everybody jumps to the conclusion that this is a Deadpool connection. Now, I don't follow a lot of people on Twitter. Follow Hugh Jackman. I saw that, and we are not going to go into it. We're not going to go into it here. But my reaction, what I initially thought was, this was him reacting to the Roe v. Wade stuff going on. That's what I thought. But I'm alone in that. Because everybody else thought it was Deadpool. Now, I
like
will
that
say
shirt.
this. Oh, he can wear the shit out of anything. He's Hugh Jackman. I will say this.
Hello.
I like it.
I have also heard whispers. Rob, I think you and I have talked off camera about it once or twice. I've heard whispers that Hugh Jackman making an appearance in a Deadpool 3 is not the most unrealistic possibility. Again, I'm sitting here saying, you heard it here first, guys. Hugh Jackman's going to be, no. But you know, I've heard some whispers too. There's a lot of other online journalists who've heard the same whispers I have, but there's nothing substantial to it. So do I think that post that Hugh Jackman put out, that the world seems to be convinced was all about him confirming he's in Deadpool, even though there's no Deadpool reference to it at all? I don't quite buy that. Now, the writers for Deadpool 3 are not offering much help to it one way or the other, because they were asked, hey, what do you think they should do with Wolverine moving forward? Rhett Weiss and Wernick,
Yeah.
they were talking, we've had them in our studio before, they're great, but they had this to say. So they said, suggestions, it's got to be someone shorter this time. So maybe like Zach Galifianakis or Patton Oswalt, someone like that. I don't know, look, we don't have any inside information on that. And even if we did, we wouldn't share it, but we don't. I would honestly go more an undiscovered person, because Hugh Jackman was reasonably undiscovered the first time. And I think there was initial bucking of, oh, he's too tall, or he doesn't look right, or what's this Australian guy? I think that if they're playing their cards right, they probably should make someone we've never seen. Wernick added that trust should be placed in the capable hands of Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige. Oh, don't worry. They'll play their cards right. You know, Kevin Feige, he knows what he's doing over there. He doesn't need any of our opinions. And that comes to us from the folks at the Direct. All right. So basically, the writers of Deadpool are saying, we have no idea. We have no idea. I mean, if we did, we wouldn't tell you, but we don't. And I don't believe them. I don't believe them. I believe that they're telling the truth when they say, if we knew, we wouldn't tell you anything. I think they know. I really do. Now, I'm not saying I think they know that Hugh Jackman is going to be Wolverine in Deadpool. I'm not saying that. But I think they have an idea about what the MCU is going to be doing with Wolverine at this point. Because I would be shocked if Ryan Reynolds and the guys didn't ask Marvel about, so what's the situation with Wolverine going to be? What can we incorporate? What can we not? I would be shocked to find out that that wasn't part of their initial discussions in laying down the groundwork of what their Deadpool movie is going to be. Do I think Hugh Jackman is going to be in Deadpool? No, I don't. Would I put up $100 in a bet with Ray over that? No, I wouldn't put $100 on it. But feet to the fire, I don't think this is what's going to happen. I do not think Hugh Jackman's going to be there. I do not think that tweet was about it. But I also know it's not impossible. Anyway, Rob, you saw the post by Hugh Jackman. You hear everybody talking about it. You've heard the whispers. What do you make of the situation?
Well, first of all, look, the X-Men in the MCU is probably going to be the biggest thing since Avengers Endgame. Whatever's going on there, it's got to be carefully considered, and Wolverine is a big part of the X-Men. They are not going to retain Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. They're not going to do it. They're going to reinvent it. They're going to do something different. If they were to put Hugh Jackman in this film along with Deadpool, I think they would be taking away the emphasis on the Wolverine they're going to eventually introduce.
But let me play devil's advocate for that just for a sec. I don't disagree with you. Let me play devil's advocate. If, as Sam Raimi was kind of insinuating, that our Fantastic Four Reed Richards is not going to be John Krasinski,
Right.
Could they not just use the multiversal stuff? Because we were at CinemaCon and we saw Kevin Feige come on stage say, hey, we get to play in multiverse now. I mean, couldn't they have Hugh Jackman as some version of Wolverine there?
Oh, don't get me wrong. I mean, at the end of Deadpool 2, Deadpool is skipping around the multiverse.
That's right, yeah.
He's already doing it. So I don't think that Hugh Jackman could appear in the movie, like in some way, shape, or form. And but I just think that I really do think that they wouldn't necessarily. I mean, it's already weird because Deadpool's a mutant,
Yeah.
and he's definitely part of. I mean, he was part of X-Force. He's been part of the whole. He is an X-Men adjacent character. So if you're going to keep him, you could absolutely put Wolverine in that movie, and maybe there'll be some throwaway gag or something. But I do think that Marvel really has to be concentrating right now on who their X-Men are going to be. And I don't know the fact that they're allowing a Deadpool 3 to get made is going to be interesting, because is it going to be outside of Marvel, or is Deadpool in the MCU? I mean, it really depends. Look, can Hugh Jackman be in this movie? Sure. That tweet, I don't think was about. I don't even know why anyone would think that was about being in Deadpool.
He's just waiting for confirmation super chats to open.
What's that, right?
He's waiting for super chats to open.
He's just waiting for the super chat.
I mean, the way
it's confirmation bias, right? I mean, that's what we as the audience do. We have confirmation bias.
Look, the way these guys play with the audience, and they would wink. You'd get a wink and a nudge. There's no wink and a nudge in that picture. I mean, he could have just gotten the news that he's playing someone else. I mean, I don't know.
Do you remember that post that Hugh Jackman put up on his social? This is going back a year or two. I mean, you guys tell me in the live chat if you remember this post. But he was at some New York hotel, and he panned the camera around, and there's Ryan Reynolds in the bed,
oh, yeah.
dressed as Deadpool.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for, that would have been confirmation, right? I mean, I don't know about this new picture at all. I mean, that's so far out of the field there. Anyway, Aaron, you saw the image, you hear people chattering, you've heard all the previous stuff. What do you think about what Hugh Jackman posted? Do you interpret him posting that as some kind of a claim or a connection to a Deadpool? And what do you think the overall chances of a Hugh Jackman actually ending up being a Deadpool 3?
Well, first of all, I think that we can unequivocally take the idea that post had anything to do with anything involving his career off the table. Look at the emoji that he chose. It's not just his facial expression. Look at the emoji. And you know what, John? I will second your emotion. It happened on the 27th of June. And that day, 50 years of American history and law changed dramatically. And regardless of what side of, of the argument you're on, that was a big day for everyone who heard that news that has an opinion about it. And given the emoji, I have a feeling I know what his opinion is about it, but that's not this show, so we're not going to talk about that. We're going to move on to the speculation about Wolverine. Well, first of all, I consulted my king nerd dorkfest husband and was like, what do you think about Wolverine being Deadpool? And he goes, well, there's 60, blah, 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 comic books, and they all have Deadpool and da, da, da. And I was like, blah, 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 zoning out.
You listen to Tom, Aaron.
I know.
All truth that comes out of his mouth.
I was like, I don't know. Would he really want to come back and play play Wolverine and Deadpool? And he goes, well, obviously he would. Blah, 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 blah. So I think that given the relationship that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have, in a way, I can see him wanting to do it. And for everybody saying, oh, well, he's too skinny to play Wolverine. Hey, guess what? That's why they have that pre-superhero workout. And when he grows his facial hair, his face is going to look a little bit more fuller. He could snap back into Wolverine in 2 seconds.
And he doesn't have to be shirtless. He can be wearing the leather jacket.
100%.
Like a lot of different things.
And so Tom had an interesting take on it because I said, yeah, but Wolverine doesn't have that same like sarcastic wit that Deadpool has. I don't see him working in that, like being in that world. And again, he reminded me, well, it's canon. He's already in that world. I'm like, fine, nerd. And then he said, but I see it being more like a buddy comedy. Buddy cop comedy. Thank you. He said he can be the
Starsky to his Hutch?
Yes. I don't know why my brain is just like not working all of a sudden. But he said the Danny to his Mel Gibson, and have that kind of thing where Deadpool is just acting like an idiot and then Wolverine is like, that's not funny.
Well, I mean, you could tell Tom too, like, look at Deadpool 2 with Cable.
Right.
Cable is not a Deadpool kind of character.
That's exactly what his argument
They use
was.
that as a juxtaposition against each other.
Yeah, and so for that, I go, well, you know what? I like the idea since we already have in the real world this great dynamic between Hugh Jackman and Deadpool, having the two of them do that and then introduce a new Wolverine in whatever other film they're going to do.
Whatever X-Men film they're going to do,
I don't see Deadpool being the introduction to a new character of Wolverine. I see that as a totally different iteration, and this being Hugh Jackman. I mean, he seems like he just wants to have fun in his career right now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Obviously, look, none of us here think that social media post that Hugh Jackman put up had anything to do with Deadpool, but that doesn't erase the question about could he be, though, at some point. Whatever you guys are thinking right now, conspiracy theory or not, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that down, we're now going to open up the super chats. If you guys got thoughts, opinions, theories, or questions about any of the topics we just talked about or anything else, you can go ahead and start firing in those now, and we'll get to those as soon as we come back from another sponsor of our today's show. Speaking of Ryan Reynolds and his great company, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. You know, the one with the delightful ads with good Canadian kid Ryan Reynolds. So look, after years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't a catch. And guys, that's no joke, because for years I've been using one of the major providers and it was fine. But I switched over to Mint Mobile a little while ago. The service has been fantastic. And the big difference is I'm now paying about 1/3 of what I was paying before. And the best part for anybody who just hates their phone bills is that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. something, for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Okay, guys, with that down, we're now going to start going over to the questions you fired in. We're going to start off with some of you guys who are our channel members sent in some stuff. So, Ray, what do we got?
We got Dacky Woods, member for 4 months. He says, hey, crew, it's been 3 months. Cameron Diaz is coming out of retirement to be in Netflix film with Jamie Foxx. This is her first film since Annie.
Is that true? So he said it's her first film since what?
Since Annie.
I thought Bad Teacher was her last one. But anyway, that's interesting because I really like when a celebrity says, I'm retiring. I don't care if it's Jay-Z. I don't care if it's Soderbergh or whatever. It's like, no, you're not. You never do.
Deadline says an hour ago, Cameron Diaz to unretire via Netflix action comedy, back in action with Jamie Foxx. Well, I really believed her that she was done. Mm-hmm. She was totally happy with her life outside of acting, but that's interesting.
Maybe I can get my Counselor sequel.
Oh, God.
Well, we know that Netflix has a tendency to back up the money truck. Yeah. And also, when she announced that, she had either just had or was just about to have her twins. And so she maybe now is like, okay, I'm settled into motherhood. I'm ready to, step back into it. I think the thing about when an actor says I'm retiring, this is what I've noticed is that unlike most other careers on the planet, if an actor decides that they just want a little bit of a chill time for like a year or two, everybody in the world goes, whatever happened to so-and-so? Man, they dried up. They're washed up. Nobody wants them around anymore. So an actor, especially when you're at that level, has to announce a retirement to just be able to get a break.
And Jamie Foxx's Netflix record. Remember the one he just did with Joseph Gordon-Levitt? Yeah. Where you get superpowers by taking, not so good. Anyway.
I got two more. Next? My Comic Planet writes, Kevin Feige recently mentioned that different incarnations of Thor will appear in future events of the MCU. Could this finally pave the way for Beta Ray Bill, or is this too much of a reach?
Well, first of all, you don't need anything to pave the way for Beta Ray Bill. You can bring in Beta Ray Bill anytime you want for any circumstance. So there's that. I did not hear him say that we're going to have a bunch of different iterations. I didn't personally hear that, so I can't really comment on it. But as far as Beta Ray Bill goes, I think a lot of Marvel comic fans would love to see that. And again, you don't really need to pave the way.
We've kind of already had different iterations of Thor. I mean, he's been changing how he is.
Well, his character has evolved.
And that's good enough for me.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I agree. All right, what's next?
Tyler Pfeiffer writes, Sam Rockwell in The Way Back is my favorite performance. Makes me cry.
Sam Rockwell has had so many great performances. Mm-hmm. Obviously, a lot of people will go to Moon.
Yeah, he was great, Moon.
But I know this isn't. I don't mean this is a cop out because I know he got an Academy Award for it. But 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri is such a fucking masterpiece of a movie. I love that film, and one of the big reasons is, by the way, all 3 main characters got nominated for Oscars that year. Mm-hmm. And the performance, by the way, this one I'll still never get. Best movie nomination, nominations for 3 of the actors, and the director didn't get a nomination for Best Director. I'll never get that. The number one job of the director is to direct the actors. Their picture gets nominated for Best Picture. 3 acting nominations, Best Picture nomination. Oh, but he didn't get a nomination for Best. I'll never understand that. But 3 Billboards, brilliant. Go check it out. All right. What do we got here in the Super Chats now? Aaron.
Oh, hi. Sorry.
Welcome to the show, Aaron.
First of all, my love for movies sends in a super chat. Thank you so much.
Love.
Next, we have Dante Sirechia. Hey, guys, I firmly believe that Doom will make his debut in Wakanda Forever with other nation leaders like Namor. He needs a strong... Namor, excuse me. He needs a strong presence in the MCU before adding him to the Fantastic Four, in my opinion.
I 1,000% disagree. 1,000% disagree. Pretty much universally accepted, the greatest villain ever in comic book movies is Heath Ledger's Joker. They didn't need to set him up in some other movie first. Oh, but at the end of Batman Begins, they had the little Joker at the card. Okay, yes, but they didn't have to establish Heath Ledger's Joker first. And guess what? Greatest villain in a comic book movie ever. Star Wars didn't need a original movie to come out first to establish Darth Vader. He was just there. You don't need to have Doctor Doom established first in some other movie. And that's not to say that they won't do that. That's just simply to say they don't need to do that.
Right.
So I don't know. What do you think?
I do love the idea, though, if, Wakanda revealed itself to the world. They're setting up embassies around the planet. I love the idea that if we're going to deal with Atlantis and Namor and people are on the world stage, that we would meet Victor Von Doom, like
Latveria and everything.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some kind of a United Nations thing going on, or maybe, Atlantis has just revealed itself to the world and the world trying to figure out what to do. And, Victor Von Doom is just there. And you realize, and they no mention of who he is, no mention of Dr. Doom or whatever. He's just the leader of Latveria, and that could be cool. I mean,
it could be cool. Yes,
it could
absolutely.
It could be cool. I mean, obviously, he wouldn't be introduced as Dr. Doom.
This is Victor Von Doom.
Yeah, he's a leader of this country. I could see that happening. I like that idea.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea. I kind of bristle against the idea that has to happen.
Oh, I agree.
In order to make him a great, powerful character.
I know, I agree. I just think I've got no sense of. I mean, I can't wait. I'm very excited to see Wakanda Forever trailer because I have no sense of what it's going to be.
I think by at the latest Comic-Con. I think at the
latest
latest
Comic-Con. You don't think
Comic-Con.
it'll drop with Thor?
I don't. I think it will be out. It would be out and online already, I think. Now, they could surprise us in the next couple of days. Again, I'm going to go see Thor tonight. I'm not expecting they're going to show us a trailer, but they have done that a couple of times at these advanced screenings, so we'll see. All right, what's next?
Next from South Texas Shark. Hey, South Texas Shark. I know you like your Frito pies. Aaron, what is the job of an intimacy coordinator and what protocols do the actors have to follow?
Especially relevant after a Hero-gasm episode.
Yes, exactly. Okay, well, I have a very close friend who is an intimacy coordinator, and essentially an intimacy coordinator does for a love scene or an intimacy scene the same thing as a fight coordinator does for any type of stunts. Essentially, they keep the actors and everyone else safe. Now, the reason why you need to be safe is because everyone has different versions of what they consider safe. So I have always, because I have done many sex scenes and love scenes and kissing scenes, pre-intimacy coordinators being part of the set. So I was always very vocal with my co-star and saying, what are your parameters? What do you feel comfortable with? And we would really map out in the same way that you would do a fight scene. We would map out what the love scene would be because there have been many situations where people have crossed lines not knowing that they were crossing new lines. So an intimacy coordinator would essentially talk to me individually, say, hey, Aaron, what are your boundaries? Do you have any history that
You don't have any boundaries.
I mean, not with you, Rob. And then the intimacy coordinator would go to Rob and say, hey, Rob, what are your boundaries? And Rob would say, I really don't like it whenever Aaron, rubs her hair through my... Anyway, the intimacy coordinator makes sure that everyone stays safe. And as far as protocols, that depends on, what the actors feel comfortable with, what the crew feels comfortable with. But it's usually a closed set, meaning only the people who have to be there that are running the camera, the director, etc., and a robe in between takes, things like that. There's a lot of new things that SAG-AFTRA worked on to create a safer environment for everyone. But yes, intimacy coordinators are wonderful. If you are a director, they won't get in your way. They're actually going to make your job easier. So I highly recommend hiring one.
By the way, a little movie I did that Aaron was in a number of years ago. We didn't have
The Anniversary.
Called The Anniversary. Aaron has a love scene in it.
I do?
And you may not, with Manolis.
Wait, I don't remember that.
No, you're kidding.
Do I really?
Yes, you do. You have a sex scene with Manolis in the movie.
I remember really liking him. He was great, but I don't remember.
Manolis is great.
Did we kiss?
You sound like half my ex-girlfriend.
But you were
right
having
now.
sex.
We're having sex?
Yes, you're
How
having
do I
sex.
remember this?
Anyway,
I have no recollection of this
Clearly,
at all.
my movie made a big impact on Aaron Cummings. So, but here's the thing. I also had, now Aaron didn't do any nudity in the scene, but we had another love scene in the movie where there was some nudity. And I don't know if you remember, well, you don't even remember the scene. I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't be in the room. Like when we had two sex scenes in the thing, I couldn't be in the room either time. I had to sit in another room and just watch on the monitor. Like I couldn't.
Well, I don't think that that's uncommon for directors. When I did Nip Tuck, I was a one-day guest star, but I had this sex scene with Julian McMahon, and it was going to be a montage.
Speaking of Doctor Doom.
Speaking of Doctor Doom, and there was going to be a montage at the beginning of the episode of different cuts of us doing different things. And the director said, "Okay, so we're just going to roll, and you guys just go for it, and we'll just cut it together." And I remember looking at him like, are you kidding me? And Julian McMahon, who thankfully looked at me and said, yeah, that's not going to work. Let's talk about this. So Julian McMahon and I actually directed ourselves and talked to each other about our boundaries. And we decided what the scene was going to be and essentially did the director's job, which is not fair. So whoever that director of that episode was, you did not do a very good job. But it's not uncommon for a director to be uncomfortable, hence why intimacy coordinators are so valuable on sets.
All right. What's next?
The next thing is Tyler Pfeiffer sent in a $10 super chat and says, I bet Victor Von Doom will appear before Fantastic Four, maybe Wakanda Forever, especially if other world leaders appear as rumored. Viggo Mortensen or Javier Bardem would be great.
Well, again, ex-actor and ex-role, as long as you get very talented actor, and you just listed a couple of the best actors in the world. So yeah, either of them would absolutely be great. Again, I do not feel that they need to do that. But like Rob was saying, if they did that, it would fit, it would make sense, and it could be kind of cool. But also it runs the risk of you tease a little Doctor Doom and then he's out of the movie. That could be kind of unsatisfying for an audience maybe. So there would be a little bit of a risk there as well, but it could be interesting.
Speaking of Vigo, did you see the trailer for Ron Howard's new movie about the rescue of the Thai, was it soccer team?
They showed us the trailer for that at CinemaCon like a year and a half ago.
Oh, I do remember
that. Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
When is that movie coming out? Because it looks incredible.
I know it's been forever.
On, like Amazon, it's Apple Plus or something.
Oh, it's already out.
No, it's not. Like in a month.
Oh,
it looks great.
Yeah, it looked. What we saw looked really, really good. All right. What's
By
next?
the way, John, I do remember fondly filming the anniversary. I just, for some reason, don't remember the sex scene.
Here's the funniest thing about the sex scene too. I remember when you and I were talking about the role, and we went through the script, and we got to that part. And you said, okay, just so you know, it didn't call for it in the script, but you said to me very clearly, it's like, just so you know, the one thing I don't do is nudity. So we can do that scene, but I don't do nudity. I'm like, hey, that's perfectly fine. 4 months later, I'm sitting down on my TV set going, my buddy Aaron is in Spartacus. Can't wait to watch. And turned on Spartacus. It's like, well, the love scene's about to come, but she won't get nude because there's no nude. Aaron Cummings doesn't do nudity. It's like, well, for a big TV show, she'll do nudity.
Well, first of all, there's no way that I said that because when we shot
totally did.
There's no way that I did because I had already done nudity. But I don't have a blanket I do or I don't do nudity. I look at it as a case by case, project by project, scene by scene. I may have said I won't do nudity for this, but that doesn't mean because I had already done nudity in a little show called Dante's Cove. You know that.
You were in Dante's Cove?
Yeah, I played. I was like, it was like a gay supernatural soap opera, and I was like, Michelle. I was playing Michelle. I was like, we can't stay here. We have to go back to Iowa, where there's no magic. And my girlfriend was like, they won't accept us in Iowa. And I was like, because we're witches, and she's like, because we're lesbians.
Now that's an amazing scene.
There's a conversation that happens a lot.
Reel.
Yeah.
All right, we got to keep moving here. What's next?
Next comes Seconds from Disaster says, one of two, I saw the black phone, yikes, and I loved it. The trailer made the ghost phone look corny, but it really worked for the story. Hawk was chilling. I love Ethan Hawke's villain roles. He adds so much tension to the scene. But one disclaimer, if you can't stomach on-screen child abuse, this is not the movie for you. Here.
The way I described it to people, Aaron, was that when we came out of the movie, you look like you just walked away from a car accident.
Yeah.
Movies are experiential events. And it'll deliver a different experience to different people, but this movie delivers an experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds weird to say, I had a great time with this movie. Rob, I know you did too.
Yeah, I loved it. Weren't you so upset that you called the producer?
I did. I
and
called.
tell them, how could you do this to me?
Because I had texted Ryan Turek, who works for.
By the way, who was also in the anniversary.
Who was also in the anniversary, exactly. I texted Ryan Turek the night before, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go see The Black Phone. So excited! I saw you were in the producers." And he's like, "Great. Hope you have a great time." And then I called and left him a voicemail afterwards, crying and being like, "Fuck you, dude.
You
How
were
could
really
you not?"
upset.
I was very upset, and I was like, "This movie's so good, but it's so scary." And I never heard back from him, so I don't think we're friends anymore. But yes, it is definitely very. For me, also, that was the first time that I was away from my new child, and so there's a lot of like, just kidnapping and kids
Bad things happening to
kids. And as a parent, it was really disturbing to watch that. It just hit way too close to home. I think maybe a couple years ago, I might have been able to watch this and not be as affected. But yeah, it is definitely, there's no trigger warning on there, but I'm giving you one right now.
All right, what's next?
Next is from Jay Bling, who says, regarding the Hugh Jackman Wolverine and Deadpool 3 thing, wouldn't a better comparison be Patrick Stewart / Professor X in Doctor Strange 2, not Krasinski / Reed?
I think that's another great example. Yeah, like you can have, obviously Patrick Stewart is not going to be Charles Xavier in the upcoming X-Men movie, but they were able to drop him in there, use him. Everybody was happy, excited. Nobody expects him to be. That's actually that's a pretty good example. That's not a bad one, actually. Well brought up. All right, what's next?
From Louis Tonga, it says, Henry Cavill for Bond.
Yeah, listen, again, it does not need to be Henry Cavill. I would be thrilled if it was, though. I mean, again, it would be something poetic, too. He was the runner-up to play Superman and eventually got to play Superman. He was the runner-up to Daniel Craig to play Bond. It would be poetic if he then still eventually went on to play Bond. Again, it could be one of a dozen other actors who could be fabulous for it. I just particularly like Henry Cavill. All right, what's next?
Next is from Luke1234. If Howard is in the MCU, I think it'll be an extended post-credit scene with him interviewing Doom 2 to 3 films before Fantastic Four comes out.
Well, remember, he doesn't say, I'm going to go do Wakanda Forever. He says, I'm going to do the Doctor Doom movie. That's what he says. Again, I don't buy it for a second, but you never know. And the way you're describing it could very well be. All right, what's next?
From Andy, he says, what would have made the Herogasm episode funnier is if Maeve started singing Imagine instead of The Deep to fully mirror and satire real life because of Godot. I think we still got it, though.
I think people still completely got it. Again, that episode was so good, and it's not because of Herogasm. I mean, we've talked about this on the show. And this kind of sums up the brilliance of The Boys as a show overall. Yeah, this wacky, bonkers, over-the-top stuff is going on, but it simply serves as the backdrop to this incredible story and character development that happens in front of that backdrop. And it's like it's like a parent sneaking healthy food into their kid's diet. It's like, we want to give the audience some great, wonderful narrative and story and characters and all this kind of stuff. But you know what they like? They like boobs, and they like heads being cut off.
And they like somebody being able to take their dick and wrap it around their head. No, they don't.
So what they did is, let's sneak in some Shakespeare. Let's sneak it in there. We'll put it into this candy wrapper, but it's actually this really deep, great narrative. It's absolutely brilliant. All right, what's next?
From Sin Vendetta, sent in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Sin Vendetta. It's very generous, man.
John, wanting a huge framed picture of Captain America facing down Thanos' army alone, I want a huge framed painting of that wide shot of Gandalf and the Balrog falling down that huge cavern.
I feel like I've seen that image.
Yeah, like somebody made a big version of it.
Yeah. There's a couple of portraits I really want. One, that image of Captain America by himself, broken shield, staring down Thanos' entire army alone. I want that. A movie I don't love, but a shot I want, Star Wars The Last Jedi, the show of Yoda and Luke from behind them, sitting side by side as the tree burns in front of them. That's a gorgeous image.
Yeah.
You know, I like the movie. I don't love that movie, but I would love that image. But those are a couple I would really like to have. Do you guys have any iconic moment in a movie that you would love to have on a big portrait?
I don't know. No.
Probably that sex scene with Mia Manolis.
That would make a good one. I'll see if I can dig that one up for you.
Say that one shot in Moonfall. Where the moon was actually looked really close to Earth, and I told you that would make a great wallpaper.
Yeah, I actually remember you saying that.
But everything else.
We should just get Ray a telescope.
Just buy him
With a
telescope.
camera.
All right, what's next?
Next is from 1253 Sir 3 says, I didn't get your guys' opinions on
Leah Sedou.
Seydoux joining Dune Part 2. What did you think?
Well, we've talked several times about this. That, like, the first Dune's cast is already stellar, and now you have added. Why am I freezing on the cowbell? Why am I freezing on?
Oh, Christopher Walken.
Yeah, Christopher Walken.
I was
Now
like, I was literally going to say that, but I was like, okay, don't make a joke. Yeah.
Christopher Walken. You've added Yelena, Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
And now Leah
Austin
Sedou.
Butler. Austin playing Fade Raupa.
Butler. I mean, you've taken an already ridiculous cast and you just keep adding to it. I mean, it's like everybody wants to work with Denis Villeneuve. Every major main actor wants to work with him, and they're lining up to do it. So the cast is incredible. All right, what's next?
From Ryan Lohner says, it shouldn't be too hard to make a second season of Obi-Wan. Somehow Grievous returned.
Yeah, somehow Grievous return. Actually, that's kind of, I've been doing a General Grievous impersonation all day. That's just me. You know what? I don't care what anybody says. That fucking character's stupid. I don't care. I don't care. That is an idiotic, stupid character. That whole General Grievous character is absolutely. Now, some people will tell me, well, they kind of redeemed it a bit in Clone Wars. That's debatable. But in the movies, at least, that character is so ridiculous. Anyway, okay, what's next?
Next is from Dave XP. Aaron, have you ever acted out on a scene that you were very proud of, but it gets cut out of the project? And how do you usually deal with that? Actually, yes. There was a movie called The Iceman that I did with Winona Ryder and Michael Shannon. And my very first scene that I had to do was this massive monologue with a thick Queen's accent. And I had to deliver it at a Thanksgiving table sitting across from Michael Shannon and Winona Ryder. And it was unbelievably intimidating. And it was the last shot of the night. Of course, you know, they just did everybody else. And then they were like, oh, yeah, have that girl do her thing. And I did it. And we all broke. And then all of a sudden, I felt this big paw on my shoulder. And I looked up and it was Michael Shannon. And he goes, very good work. And then he just like walked off and I was like, oh my God. And there's actually a clip, there's a video clip when they did the press junket, they asked Michael Shannon, was there anything that was cut from the final film that you thought should have been in there? And he goes, yeah, you know, there was this Thanksgiving scene and this actress, Erin Cummings, and he actually said they cut your scene. And so it was this really great moment that will never be seen. And Winona Ryder, who was lovely to work with, was like, I can't believe I saw her at the premiere at the Toronto Film Festival. And she was like, or one of the film festivals. She goes, I can't believe they cut your scene. And I'm like,
you had other scenes though, yes?
I did have other scenes, but because I was like, I want to totally, you know, immerse myself in the character and look unrecognizable. No one even knew I was in the movie. So happened.
How was Michael Shannon?
Amazing, brilliant, wonderful. Can't say enough good things about him.
All right, what's next?
Next comes from Jeremy 144713. Says heroes don't hurt women. Ezra Miller, but I do.
And a little Black Adam play there. Heroes don't kill people. Well, I do. Yeah, again, what else can we say about the Ezra Miller situation at this point? Do we just wait for the next news cycle? We'll see what happens next. All right, what's next?
From Casey Mack, who sends in a $10 super chat. Hey, John and crew, have you guys seen the trailer for the latest Ron Howard movie, 13 Lives?
Just talking about that.
We were just talking about that. I'm sad because it looks like this is coming to Amazon Prime, though, and not in theaters.
Yeah, that's always a bummer.
I don't know why I got the impression they might put it in theaters. Maybe I'm wrong. But it looks like I wanted to see that in a theater.
Here's the funny thing. There are a couple of movies coming out based on the same event. I think there's a pure documentary. Actually, the documentary might already be out. I'm trying to remember about that. But anyway, yeah, this looks absolutely crazy. They showed us actually a big extended thing of it. When Aaron and I were at CinemaCon a year and a half ago, they showed us like 8 or 9 minutes of it. And it looks crazy good. I can't wait to watch it. All right, what's next?
From
Want to do Casey Mac? There you go.
From Stubble McShave, Wolverine shouldn't be in the first X-Men movie. He tends to suck up all the oxygen. Focus on the other X characters first and have him join in a later movie.
Here's the thing though, Stubble. You shouldn't put the most popular X-Men in the X-Men movie. I don't know if that's a good strategy. Remember, the goal in making a movie is to make it as broadly appealing and bring in as many audiences as possible if you're making these kinds of movies. And to take your number one thing, your number one IP character, and say, we can't put him in there because too many people like him. I don't think that's the wisest approach. Remember, these are fictional characters. No one's getting their feelings hurt. Right? These aren't real characters. So you don't go, let's make our movie worse so these other characters can shine more. You don't, it's like trying to make a movie about the Beatles and not have a John Lennon character. I mean, I don't think that's the wise thing to do. I think wisdom dictates you absolutely take your most popular piece of the puzzle and you absolutely have them in the first movie. I don't know. You guys have any other thoughts on that?
No, I think you're absolutely right. You can't look. Imagine the audience if you made a new X-Men movie without Wolverine.
Yeah.
The audience would be like, wait, what? I mean, I don't know if they should make Wolverine the focus the way he was kind of the focus of X-Men 1 back in 2000, but you have to put him in there.
All right, what's next?
From Jedediah Elias says, hey, John and team, I just bought my first car yesterday.
Nice.
Congratulations. A Hyundai Elantra, LOL. Not a Porsche or anything. Who cares? But I'm so happy that that was one of 3. I finally got one. Just wanted to say thanks for inspiring me with your show to work towards my dreams. Also, one more.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to get around. We'll just.
There it is. Also, Ratatouille came out 15 years ago today. Wildly
Really?
underrated Pixar movie. I remember my mom taking me to see it when it came out. Time flies faster than you think.
Okay, well, first of all, everybody remembers getting their first car.
Yes.
Right? Are you kidding me? Mine was like a 1986 Dodge Colt piece of crap that my dad bought off a neighbor for $50 for me, and I loved it.
Mine was a 1979 Oldsmobile Cutlass with T-tops, and it was my dad's first car that he loved and took pristine care of it, and I destroyed that car in 1 year of high school.
I had a 1982 Celica, but I have to say the last car that I owned before the car I have now was a Hyundai Elantra.
That's right, it was, yeah.
And I love that car. It's a great, the Hyundai, it was very reliable. It was roomy. I love the way it looked from the inside. You could see around it. It was a really, really good car.
And
hey,
then
you know what? If you're getting from point A to point B, then you're
all
doing
you
better
need.
than a lot of people.
Yeah, my only complaint was
what
it was
was
a
the
little
last thing he
underpowered.
said there? What was he talking?
He said
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille being 15 years old today.
Yeah, first of all, that's amazing. I would not call it underrated because most people I talk to when I say like, hey, list your like top 5 favorite Pixar films, more times than not, I find people will put that in their top 5. It is wonderful and a great homage to it in Everything Everywhere All at Once, by the way. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that. And congrats on the car, man. That's awesome.
I haven't seen it yet. Ratatouille. And every time I tell Ann that, she's like, you haven't seen that movie? 'Cause,
Okay, okay.
I haven't-
cooking, dude.
I know.
haven't seen it either.
No. We are going to this week. We're gonna get food. You're gonna come over and
You're
we're gonna
gonna
watch
cook?
Ratatouille.
Would you like to borrow my Blu-ray for your PlayStation 5?
No. I'll just stream it. I got it on Disney Plus. All right, what's next?
James Argenta says, I think the Kree hand in E3 hints to Inhumans. I think the Bengal is powered by a Terrigen crystal and will cause Kamala to go through Terrigenesis.
I look with now. Look, I said that I highly doubt they will bring Black Bolt in, even though he is an Illuminati member, because I don't think Kevin Feige wants to touch Inhumans with a 100-foot pole. And he was there. He ended up being there
In costume.
in like not the television show.
No, he
costume,
looked like Black Bolt.
but in the
right?
classic costume, right?
Yeah.
That is one thing. I really don't think Kevin, especially with X-Men coming, I really don't think Kevin Feige wants to do Inhumans. But again, like I said the same thing about Black Bolt not being in the Illuminati because of the same thing, and he was there. So take that with a grain of salt. But even that being the case, I do not think they're going in the direction of Inhumans. What do you think?
I don't either. I mean, like you said, brand confusion. But anything's possible. I just think that it's not just the Inhumans being in it, it's leaning into their whole mythology.
Yeah.
So I just don't see that happening. I think that it's more like we talked about before on the show, that the 10 rings are somehow linked with her powers.
I agree. I think there is going to be an underlying connection between, and I have no basis for this, but the 10 rings, the Eternals, and this bangle.
Yes.
I mean, but we will see. And again, the Nor is like completely foreign to anything that in Human West. I don't know. So, hey, listen, it's not impossible. I'm just saying right now, my guess is probably not, but we'll see. All right, what's next?
From David Deere, who sends in a $10 super chat. Just wanted to say I love every time Aaron is on the show. Thank you so much, David.
So do I.
Also, have you guys seen that Succession has started shooting season 4? Yay! So excited. Love you guys. Have a great day.
It's one of the best shows on TV.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm in the minority. I still personally think Yellowstone might be the best show on TV right now, but Succession, a lot of people think it's the best show on TV. It's right up there. Such great drama, great character development, all the good stuff you like to see, just without a hero gasm. That's what it needs. It needs a hero gasm in the background to really take this show to the next level. I don't know. You guys are watching Succession?
Oh, yeah.
my God.
And Tom,
Really?
actually, I just put Tom on tape for an audition for a role on Succession. And I said, you are not going to ever be on Succession because you look too much like Tom Wambsgans.
I'm not going to lie. The first time he came on screen, I'm like, what? Okay, no, that's not Tom, but wow, it kind of looks like
Yeah,
him a
I was
little
like, you're never going to get on this
Brother
show.
role.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Yeah.
All right,
But
get
also,
up.
are you watching Peaky Blinders?
bit. No, I ditched on after 4 episodes. It just,
What?
Yeah, it didn't work for me.
What?
Yeah, I didn't like
What?
it.
What'd you think of the last season?
Joey. She's like, what? Shout out to Chef Rigo in the chat. Chef Rigo sighting. Just want to say every time I see his name, the rest of the show, I think of Mignon and birthday cake.
But no, I wasn't a fan of Peaky Blinders. So
You
there's
just
that.
killed our audience at home. They're all like,
Oh, my God.
All right, let's keep moving
Sorry,
here. We're running
guys.
out of time. What's
Sorry.
next?
Al Renshaw says, in terms of an unknown, undiscovered person for Wolverine, I would suggest Jesse Plemons. Great. Boyd Holbrook.
I'm sorry. What part of Jesse Plemons is unknown or undiscovered? Like maybe 4 years ago.
True.
But yeah, no. Anyway,
Boyd
same
Holbrook.
thing with Boyd Holbrook.
And Anthony Starr. No, because I think Anthony Starr is too synonymous with Homelander at this point.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
What do you, from the Tracksuit Mafia says, what do you call two dudes that love math? Algebros.
You know what? I'll allow it.
I'll allow it.
I will bestow the drum shot for that.
all right.
I'll give them the drum shot for that. That's
Yeah.
not too bad.
I'm a
That's
big
not
fan of
bad.
that joke.
All right. What's next?
Next comes from Andy, who says that pic was just Hugh Jackman receiving nudes. True.
You know what?
From Ryan
I don't know
Reynolds.
if you still got. I don't know if you still have the tab there, Jonathan. But if you do, if you can bring that up because now I want to look at that picture again. Do you have it handy? Oh, he doesn't have it. Okay, don't worry about it. All right, let's move on. That's a good one. What's next?
All right, Max Vem says, hi guys, I love the show.
Thank
John,
you.
you really have a great team now. P.S. Rob, I work for Tom Ford and Black Orchid was Michael Jackson's signature scent. Well, you got good taste.
Let me
Expensive
just.
taste too.
It is. Yes, look, if I was smaller, if I worked out and lost 50 pounds, I'd only wear Tom Ford.
Wait, what does
Is
that
that
even
fashion
mean?
or a scent?
Because the set. I mean, his
You would-
clothes. I love.
Oh, his
Tom
Oh,
Ford.
it's
clothes.
clothes.
I was
I
like,
love clothes.
What does it matter what your body weight is for
But
what?
what I was gonna say is because because I have to work out, I wear his Black Orchid scent because I love Tom Ford.
Yeah.
And he can do no wrong. And by the way, he's also a great film director.
Oh,
If
fantastic.
you watch his movie A Single Man, devastating.
Yeah, I went into the Tom Ford flagship store on Rodeo Drive one time with my cousin who I was younger, and I was like, yeah, I'm a successful actress. And so I walk in and I was like, yeah, I'll buy a little something. And obviously I wasn't going to be able to buy the clothes because they are very pricey. So I was like, I'll buy this candle. I mean, how much could that be? And they bring me the thing to sign in one of those fancy books that they bring you at a fancy restaurant. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll sign it. That candle was like $100,
Oh my God.
And worth
but
it.
worth it. So worth it.
Oh yes.
The only candle that I will say is worth $100 was the Tom Ford one.
Does it make your penis grow?
Yes.
Because for $100?
Literally every time I lit that, it was like hero-gasm at the Degnan house.
I don't know. Every time I use anything Tom Ford, I feel like my penis gets bigger.
This
Mine
is Hugh
too.
Jackman listening to this stream.
Okay, we're gonna. You know what, Ray? I think we just found our next. What you would call our next emoji? Our next member emoji is right there. All right.
Speaking of
what's
members.
You
next?
always have that handy. We could
All
use
right.
that pic.
I didn't know about Michael Jackson's signature scent. That's so cool.
That's cool. Calvin Patel says, want to throw another name out there for James Bond? How about Matthew Good? He's British, he can act, and he wears suits really well.
I'm not against it. Again, like I said, just make sure it's a talented performer. And my God, he's a talented performer. So, I'd be down for that. I would still want Henry Cavill, but I would be perfectly happy with it if they announced him tomorrow. All right, what's next?
Matthew Good. Oh, yeah, I like him. Jamie Sunday says, saw Elvis. I feel so bad for the editor because damn.
Have you seen it yet?
No, but I mean, I know Baz Luhrmann kills his editors.
I'm watching this movie, and like for the first hour and a half, which I loved the first hour and a half, it is so frantic, the editing. But it works. It works. It flows. Like to an uninitiated eye, you could watch it and just think it's just a bunch of random chopped up edit. No, it all flows and has this tantric energy to it, as this boom, 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 like it's just, which is why the movie to me is like 25 minutes too long, because eventually that became exhausting and they needed to tighten it up a bit. But yeah, the editing in it is crazy, absolutely crazy. All right, what's next?
Next is from My Comic Planet, who says over 100 employees will be laid off due to the merger of CAA and ICM partners. John, what kind of impact could this merger have on the industry?
Zero. I think pretty much none. Like everybody's still going to have representation. You only need, like, whenever you have mergers, not even in that particular industry, when you have mergers like that, you're going to end up with redundancy. And so, unfortunately, that totally normally means that some people are going to lose their jobs. But when stuff like that also happens, it creates new opportunities for other people elsewhere. So we'll see how it kind of goes.
And a lot of people will actually lose their representation. All the people that are clients of CAA and ICM who are not bringing in the bottom line, guess you might need to call Gersh.
Oh, that happened to me when I had the one time I was represented.
And Gersh is a great agency, by the way.
William Morris. They merged and they cut. I was a new client. I hadn't earned anything.
Really?
Yet.
Yeah, when
and
William Morris
I got
merged with
cut.
Endeavor.
It shouldn't surprise
No, before
anybody
that.
that I have
Oh.
never been represented by William Morris, ICM, or anybody for that matter.
Well,
So-
it was an interesting thing because, I was actually, this is terrible to say, I guess now, I was working on a project for Bill Cosby. And they're
At the time, it was a good thing
it was
to
good.
say.
And it was
Did it
all,
involve serving drinks to women?
no, it was all about
Good.
his book Fatherhood, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
geez.
And I was going to his house, and sitting with him and working with him. And then I got called by my agents going, well, sorry, we have to cut you. Like, wait a minute. I'm in the middle of a spec project with your client, Bill Cosby. We're working, but no money had changed hands. And so I just gone. And with it went the project that I was working on for like 6 months.
That's why if you
Yikes.
are not a top earner, it doesn't make sense to be with one of the big agencies.
Nope, right.
You can brag to your friends about it, but at the end of the day, if you are not bringing in money, you are very expendable. Whereas if you're with an agency that is not one of those top tier agencies that doesn't have a $2 million rent check due every month for the building that they have in the middle of Beverly Hills, then, you're probably not going to make it.
All right, what's next?
Next comes to us from Caden, who says, Miles Teller is the next actor from a Marvel project that I want to have a shot in the MCU, following folks like Evans and Jordan. Love that dude.
I'm telling you what, this is a good month for Miles Teller, because not only do you have Spiderhead and Top Gun and The Offer, and he's great in all of them. I mean, I've been preaching the gospel of Miles Teller for a long time. Telling people, it's like, I get it. Sometimes he's not in the best movies. I get it. But just look at him. His performances are always good.
Whiplash.
Oh my God. I mean, just listen to J.K. Simmons talk about his performance in Whiplash. right? He says he doesn't think he wouldn't have his Oscar today if it wasn't for that he was in that with Miles Teller, right? He's a legit top shelf talent, and I think it's just getting started. All right, what's next?
And he's the tallest too. He might even be taller than Tom.
He's a tall dude.
Yeah,
Really?
he's like one of the. Yeah, he towers over everyone in Top Gun.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's not hard to tower over.
It's a Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Ouch.
true.
All right, what's next?
Next is from Andy. When you think about it, Obi-Wan is anti-Nickelback. He has made it as a wise man and definitely could cut it as a poor man stealing raw meat.
It just shows you again the greatness of Nickelback. No, it's,
Wow.
I don't know how they. I mean, yes, they're good Canadian kids and more successful than your favorite bands, but I don't know why there's this impression around that I'm a Nickelback fan. I'm not. I just acknowledge they have some pretty big hits, but I am not a big Nickelback fan.
Deny.
Now, so much denial going on in here. All right, what's next?
Jose Andres Estrada Vaca says, what happened to Chris Carr?
As we mentioned,
She's actually sleeping on my dog bed with Joey.
As we mentioned about 40 times, she's visiting family in Boston right
Can
now.
we
So.
can we actually upload that answer right there and then put it on YouTube as like the header?
Yeah, Chris Carr is on vacation.
All right, what's next?
Next comes to us from Suthius, who sends in a $10 super chat. Binge Umbrella Academy season 3 under 24 hours. Wow, enjoyed it. I can't stand New Ben, and I can't stand Allison this season. The whole family frustrates me ever since season 1. If only they'd communicate, shit would get done faster. Well, ain't that the truth for everything in this world?
I mean, that's true of every family, I think. But I am now 2 episodes in, and I am really enjoying it. The revelation, I'll just use this alias name. The revelation of Lester at the end of episode 2 was like, whoa! Like, that was like really, really great. So again, I'm only 2 episodes in, loving it so far. All right, what's next?
From Al Renshaw says, I would rather see a Jackman versus Reynolds face-off movie instead of him back at Wolverine. I would like that.
I have been, listen, by the way, I deserve a check, like a big check. I've been banging that drum for over a year and a half. I think it was a year and a half ago that I said on this show, guys, here, you're welcome. Here's your $1 billion idea. Face off with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. You're welcome. $1 billion movie. Go. All right, what's next?
Next comes to us from Dante Cericia, who says the best way to reinvent Bond and avoid today's issues while keeping the core of his character, a period piece 60s Bond.
They've never done that with Bond, and I don't want them to stop.
No.
Plus, they did 60s James Bond movies.
In the
Doc-
60s.
In the 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, they made Dr. No, they made From Russia with Love, they made Goldfinger, they made Thunderball, they made You Only Live Twice, and On Her Majesty's Secret Service. We're all in the 60s.
Yeah.
And
So,
technically, even those weren't accurate because the books took place in the 50s. So
yeah, I mean, there you go. All right, what's next?
This one comes to us from Dr. J. Says, I've seen a number of South Asian reactions to Miss Marvel, and to watch the skepticism turned into joy is amazing. The music score for last night's episode was sensational.
That was
Agreed.
the very first thing Ann talked about. As soon as the episode ends, she goes, I want to know who picks all the music for this, because the music is amazing.
And
Yeah.
the music in the opening, over those opening credit scenes, too.
Yeah,
They're-
it's different every time.
I know, it's great.
And the end credits. The end credits is always different. The opening credits is different. The music just immerses you into it. They do such a great job with it. Great observation. I'm glad you said that, man. All right, what's next?
This comes to us from Movie Fan 109, who sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Hot Toy Bet Thor. What does that mean? What is that?
Thor
Hot
Love
toy.
Thunder.
By the way, guys, punctuation is our friend. So hot toy bet, comma.
Oh, Hot Toy Bet. Thor Love and Thunder will double opening weekend numbers of Thor Ragnarok. John and Ray, is this a deal you could place? Thanks, and bring on the film.
I'd have to know off the top of my head. Ray, can you look at what was the opening weekend box office numbers?
I'm gonna say ahead of time though, John loves good odds.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
He doesn't take
always
any
playing
bet.
the odds. Always
Yeah.
playing the odds. But what do we got?
We got Ragnarok as you're talking about opening
Opening weekend.
Domestic?
Opening weekend. Yep.
122.
No. It will not make 244. It will not be a bigger, because how big was Spider-Man No Way Home?
Sorry.
Because I don't think it's going to be as big as Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think
got it
Spider-Man No
right
Way Home
here.
was around the 240 mark, if I'm not mistaken. Do you got that one there, Ray?
Yeah, I got it. It is 260.
Yeah, I know. So
What a
I
crazy
don't.
opening that was. I didn't realize how big that
That's one of the biggest openings in history. No, I don't think it's going to be that big, but it's going to be big.
Yeah.
And by the way, again, I am going to go see Thor actually in a few hours. I'm going to go see Thor Ragnarok tonight. I will do a right out of the theater reaction. And maybe I'll change my mind about that. But no, I cannot see Thor making 244. I would say, Ray, I don't think that's the bet you want to take either, is it?
Yeah, I just want to know, like, your. It's not gonna make that fine line number, and I'll go 5 over it.
It's not going to make 244.
249.
Price is Right, actually.
Shit.
Yeah, even Ray
I was
knows.
hoping you would go
That's a little
lower.
bit out of there.
Yeah,
No,
let's go.
I don't
Think
think
about
you
it.
can do double. All right, what's next?
Next is from Orange Hand, who says, speaking of Avatar, which character in film and television do you think has the best redemption arc? Because Zuko has one of the best I've ever seen.
Boromir, period. In a sense, he's the best redemption arc in the history of everything. Literature, television, movies, Boromir, Lord of the Rings. That's it. That's why I was looking forward to seeing that movie, period. Prince Zuko, it's not really a redemption story with Prince Zuko. It's really always who he is, but he's just really navigating the shit hand he got dealt in life and really trying to figure out how he navigates that and where he ends up. But for me, the best redemption arc I've ever seen, for me, is I love the redemption story of Boromir. And what about you, Rob? Do you got a particular character
Oh my
you
God,
love their
that's
redemption?
such a. I'd have to think about that.
I'll jump in. Ruth in Ozark.
That's. Would you call that a redemption arc? Though?
Yeah. I mean, like, she gets her whole slate clean. I mean, she really is going to make something of herself, be an honest woman for the first time in like 6 generations.
Yeah. Look what happens to her.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't watch Ozark, so I wouldn't know. All right, what's next?
Be cooler if you did. Stubble McShave says, which is your favorite sci-fi / comedy / horror monster B movie in the style of Critters, Gremlins, or Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Those
Ooh, I've got
ones.
one.
Which one do you got?
Oh shit.
You're so excited. You're
I know.
So excited.
The Bodies. Wait, it's from the movie. Oh man.
Okay,
God.
well, I'll throw in here. Tremors.
I was gonna say that.
Where are you? Yeah.
Langoliers.
Langoliers is a good one.
What's that dumb ending?
Okay, you know what I would have to say. This is gonna be a deep cut, but the shrunken head gremlins from the TV movie "Don't Be Afraid of the Dark" in the 70s.
Yeah, I never saw that. So.
That was the scariest movie I ever saw when I was 5.
And by the way, interested to bring that because, of course, Remo Williams himself passed away just recently from Tremors.
Yes, he did.
By the way, guys, if you've never seen Fred Ward, if you guys have never seen Fred Ward's movie, Fred Ward, Wilford Brimley, Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, based on the Destroyer novels.
Yeah.
It is Chun. It was one of my favorite characters in movies for a long time.
Directed by Lewis Gilbert, James Bond director Lewis Gilbert.
One of the craziest lines ever. Chun, this Asian combat master who's training Remo Williams, says to the female Captain Janeway, says to this female character, she says, "Well, what should I do now? You should go home and have child, preferably man-child." I'm like that. You can't get away with lines like that today. But that was Chun. Chun was just an amazing character. Anyway, okay, sorry, we're running out of time. What's next?
Next, according to Aaron's reaction, I guess I'm not watching Black Phone, mostly because I don't do well with scary movies.
See, but I think if you don't do well with scary movies, you will get the most out of those movies.
That's what I love. I love people who are terrified.
But that's like saying to me, since you can't handle spice, you should most appreciate spicy.
Right.
And like, no, that doesn't work.
That doesn't work
That
there.
doesn't work at all.
Yeah. Like, I don't like that feeling of the negative G-force of dropping. So I don't go on roller coasters like the Haunted Mansion, whatever it's called.
Now the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Yeah.
Right. I like things that go zoom, zoom and flippity flip, but I don't like things that just drop. And so
Is this an intimacy coordinator thing we're talking about? Or
I like the things that go zoom, zoom.
by the way, so
the things that
true
just drop.
story. So if Ray comes to my house and he brings food, like he knows I'll be going, "Oh, what do you got there?" Right? If he ever wants to John-proof it, I just got, as he's dumping hot sauce on it,
Yeah.
I just got all this stuff. He knows that instantly John-proofs your
No,
food.
but you know, there's another time where I actually make a completely separate dish. I used to do this for my dad all
does.
the time, where it was non-spice, because you and my dad didn't like spices, so I'll do a little side thing sometimes.
But here's what happened the other day. So Ray is also in charge of keeping our snacks stocked around here, right? So he knew. I come walking out of my office and he's working. He's got this big bag of chips. And I'm like, oh, what do you got there, Ray? To start to reach. He goes, oh, and he turns the bag over. Sorry, man. It's like this super hot and spicy, whatever. Sorry, dude.
Did you see the stuff in the corner? Those bowls right there?
Oh, yeah. I looked at that. It's all like
kimchi.
hot and spicy, asshole. Completely John-proofing all the
Even
food.
got spicy Oreos somehow.
And somehow, now you just got to find spicy Oreos. All right, what's next?
So D Wild says, "How do you know I'm not Canadian?" Yep, that was a good line. Talking about from Miss Marvel last night.
Don't want to spoil it, but obviously, me, I appreciate that line. And actually, wait a minute, is she Canadian? I'm like, no, it's just a funny line. This is really good.
And
All
his
right.
comeback was really good to that as well.
His comeback was really good.
Next is from Chef Rigo. Chef
Rigo!
Rigo going to Vegas this weekend. Wow,
Nice.
may not even come back. I don't blame you. Just kidding. I have to go back to work, but I'm excited to try a Gordon Ramsay restaurant.
Okay, yeah, but when you say you're looking forward to trying Gordon Ramsay restaurant,
Which one?
there's about 7, without exaggeration, there's 7. And there's all different types. Our last trip, Aaron and I ate in 2 of them. We went to burger and we went to pub. Both of them, they're very different. I love Gordon Ramsay's burger.
Oh,
It's in Planet Hollywood,
It is a really good burger.
but my favorite Gordon Ramsay restaurant is Gordon Ramsay Steak, which is in the Paris Hotel. But again, pub was really good. That's in
Pub
Caesars.
is in Caesars. And also, if you are a fan of fish and chips, that piece of cod is like, it is the
pub,
entire,
yeah.
in pub, it is the entire size of the plate. It is huge.
Yeah, Aaron and I even, let's order some nachos. Okay,
Oh my
some
God.
nachos. They bring out this freaking platter.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what are we
You're going to
supposed
get your
do with
money's
that?
worth if you eat there, for sure.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Next comes from Fredo. Valka says, always nice to see Aaron. Thank you so much.
It is always nice to
Fredo.
see you, Aaron.
Thank you. Renshaw writes us again and says, maybe we will get Sam Rockwell in Thunderbolts. I still think Zemo will be a leader, but Rockwell would be great as well. He's great in everything.
I don't see that character fitting in there, though. I really don't. I think Sam Rockwell's moved on from that. I
Justin
don't think,
Hammer.
As Justin Hammer, I don't think he wants to sign a multi-film deal.
Yeah, although I'm a fan.
It would be fun, though. It would be fun. But plus, don't forget, they kind of painted him in the movies already as being not all that competent. So I
Maybe
don't know.
Back to school.
Maybe. All right, what's next?
Next is from Tim Platt, who says, favorite show of these 3, Peacemaker, The Boys, Invincible. For me, it's Invincible.
The Boys. The Boys, then Peacemaker, then I really, really like Invincible. I really do. You've heard me review it. I really like Invincible a lot. It's not on the same level to me, like narrative-wise, character development-wise. It's not on the same level as The Boys. It doesn't have as many laughs as Peacemaker, but I do love it. I enjoy it a lot. But yeah, how would you rank them?
Same thing. The
Wow.
Boys, Peacemaker, and Invincible.
No, Peacemaker, then The Boys, and I've never seen Invincible, so it's 3.
I can't believe you put The Boys over Peacemaker. Do you think it's just because The Boys has more in its portfolio right now?
It's just a better story. I mean, the
'Cause I know
story
you
and
love
the characters
Peacemaker.
of it.
I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah, but I do
like
love
the
Peacemaker.
heart and the music of Peacemaker.
That's
So good.
Great.
So good.
All 3 of them are great. All right, what's next?
Next is from Sin Vendetta, who sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you. Since I don't know very many people that have seen this movie, but have any of you seen the movie Cube, and what are your thoughts on it? Because I love that movie. Crazy thing, Rob actually has it on Blu-ray and DVD and Laserdisc and Betamax.
I have done 2 of those formats.
And VHS, and yes.
And made by a good Canadian kid, Vincent Natali. And I love that movie.
Explain, please.
As a matter of fact, when I was in Sitges, when my film Free Enterprise had its world premiere, Cube won the film festival that year.
Wow.
And I basically Cube is about a bunch of people that are trapped in a cube, this gigantic cube. And within the cube, there are smaller cube rooms. And each room has these traps in it that the opening of the movie has a guy get literally like cheese grated. And it is awesome.
That's wild.
And these people don't know why they're there, and they don't know who each other are, and they have to cooperate to get the hell out.
All right, what's next?
Next comes to us from Zach Taylor, who says, did you know that Diego's son is Ashtray from Euphoria?
I ditched on Euphoria about halfway through the 2nd episode not because I didn't think it was a brilliantly well put together film. I just didn't feel good watching it.
Me neither.
Yeah, so it just
Elizabeth
so I stopped
got
watching.
really mad. She's like, we are not watching this show anymore because she has 2 daughters. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, I'm gonna go watch it myself.
So I had
You're
no
right,
idea.
Elizabeth. We are not watching this show anymore.
Excuse me.
When are you going to bed? All right, what's next?
Next comes to us from Nicholas Clark, who sends in a $10.95 super chat. Thank you, Nicholas. This one's for Ray. What was your favorite match from the WrestleMania that you saw live in San Francisco? I went to WrestleMania 33 and sadly witnessed Taker lose to Roman live, but that entrance made it all worth it.
You were there, John.
Yeah, we went there
The
together.
highlights of that whole weekend was Daniel Cormier and Cain Velasquez sitting right behind us.
by us there. Yep.
Some fans went going up to you.
Bunch of fans came up and
went
talked to
from
us, yeah.
all the way to the other end, saw him, said they're fans of the show. Seth Rollins cashing in the Money in the Bank and winning
That
the
was
title for
huge.
the first time was super sweet. I mean, I wanted Brock, but obviously Seth Rollins cashing in was the best
That
part.
was a huge moment. I think, by the way, John Cena and Rusev had a great match.
And remember the Terminator entrance from Triple H?
I was going to say,
Oh, yeah, right.
my 2 favorite things, though, was one, Triple H's entrance was fantastic. Not quite as good as his King Conan entrance that he did at that one WrestleMania when he came up on the throne of bones and all that kind of stuff and had the crown. Bray Wyatt's entrance, what I thought was fantastic. They really played into the whole True Detective, like voodoo kind of thing. He walks in with the swamp people, the doom doom with his torches and all these people. It was a great entrance. I loved that.
I'm going to put you on the
I
spot
have no
because of a
idea.
mailbag yesterday. Are we still looking into going
falling
to
asleep.
SoFi Stadium for this year's WrestleMania?
Yeah, I think
Or
Ann,
next year's WrestleMania?
I think Ann said she wants us to go.
I do not know.
Because Rob said he would go. Jonathan said he would go.
I didn't say I would go.
Oh, why?
It's not cheap.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not cheap, but I think
thought
Ann
we
still
could
wants
get
to
a
go.
box thing. But
We
yeah.
want to get a private box?
Yeah.
Great.
Well,
Start saving up.
Okay.
Oh, I'm supposed to pay for
No.
it. Oh.
I thought everyone's supposed to chip in, but I
Sure. Well, we'll get a
Okay.
private box.
Daddy Campea bucks.
All right. What's next? Oh, yeah. The wrestling
sorry,
talk
sorry.
started.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, wow.
Okay, this one comes to us from Tamer Muhammad, who says, did you guys watch episode 4 of the new Orville season? It was awesome.
Yeah, I'll say this. The Orville is now as it's always been. Hit and miss. I was really impressed with the first episode of this season because they totally changed directions. They've really kind of abandoned their comedy. Now it's just 1 or 2 jokes per episode. But like the first episode was about suicide. I mean, and I watched it, I was like, I think this is like a profound, really cool way to go. Episodes 2 and 3, honestly, I wish I had used my time to watch something else. I was not impressed. This last episode, very, very good. Again, very much borrowing from Star Trek: The Next Generation. But yeah, I really did quite enjoy the new episode. What did
I
you
thought so too. But I with you, it is kind of, look, they've upped the production values. The show looks great. I really still like all the characters. And I know that it's no longer, they're just straight up making Star Trek now.
Yeah, I mean, really, they always have, but now they've dropped the facade, pretending that they're not
Yeah.
trying to. They're just trying to make their own Star Trek
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
The next one comes from Dwayne Cinema, says, hey, Campea crew, been a while since I've commented. I love being a part of the conversation, and you guys do a marvelous job. This is Devin.
Well, thank you so much. It's good to have you as a part of the conversation. Even if you're not, it's good to have you just listening to the conversation as well. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for participating, man. We appreciate that. Good to have you here. All right, what's next?
This comes from My Love for Movies, says, so I've tried to get into Miss Marvel. It isn't bad. It's just not for me. I'm not the target demo. It's clearly for young kids. Wrong. It feels
No, you're
Nickelodeon.
wrong. No.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You
This
can have an opinion,
isn't
but it's wrong.
for young kids. It is friendly. It reminds me a lot of the discussion about Pixar. Pixar do not make kid films. They make kid-friendly films. And there's a big difference between the two because there's a lot of animated stuff that goes out that are kid films. Pixar is kid-friendly. And I watch, and again, it's all subjective. We all have different experiences with it. But I watch Ms. Marvel and I identify with a lot of the experiences going on in there.
Yeah.
Like a whole lot of them. And charm has no age limit. Joy has no age limit. Beauty has no age limit. And that's why I watch something like that. Again, I stick with my original description of this show. It is a John Hughes directed cross between My Big Fat Greek Wedding and Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And while it's definitely friendly to younger audiences, absolutely, there's not many experiences that have happened in that movie that I can't identify with on many levels. So anyway, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong when you say it's, that you don't love it. No, that's perfectly fine. But to say this is just made for kids, well, no, that I can say objectively, you are very wrong about that.
Do you know what though? I would say this. If I was like in my 20s or 30s, I don't think I would like the show as much.
If you're in your 20s or 30s?
Yeah. Only because I would be looking for more of a hard-hitting, as an MCU fan, more hard-hitting kind of an action adventure
thing. But that's a
thing.
stylistic question, though, right?
Well, I mean, just in terms of content, just what I think because I'm a little older, the family stuff really hits harder for me with even the relationship between the mother and the grandmother. Like, they didn't lean into it, but the fact that they didn't have the best relationship, when they first got to Karachi, you kind of saw that. And I think that a lot of our viewers, it's like that's not why they tune into a Marvel show. And I think because you come from a family that's immigrated here, and I have a certain ethnic bit of my background as well, that there's things in this show that we're enjoying that I don't think I would have enjoyed as much if I was younger, because I would have wanted to see more superhero Marvel action.
Yeah, I mean, and somebody brought this up in the live chat, and I lost who put it in there, but it's like, that's like saying, well, so an Iron Man movie with a 47-year-old Robert Downey Jr., so teens can't like that because it's not an 18-year-old in the lead as the lead character. So
no.
But there's also a lot of people in the chat that are saying, hey, I'm in my 30s and I love this show.
Right, but I'm saying
your experience.
The stuff that I liked. And
right.
if I was in high school, I'd be like, wow, I really identify with her plight. And then it was just, I wanted more hard-hitting superhero action, where I got that from Iron Man. And I would have liked it at any age. Yeah. But the sentimentality and the family stuff for me, when I was in my 20s, I'm like, I want to meet chicks at night and go out and party. And, this would not have been the show. But that doesn't mean
you are required to like it. Like, not at all. Like,
no.
Like, you don't need to like Thor Ragnarok. You don't need to like Civil War. You don't need to like Ms. Marvel. I mean, all this stuff hits us in individual ways. Again, I just push back on the idea that this is a show made for kids. I disagree. I think it's friendly to them.
Yes.
But I don't think it is only made for them exclusively, or else it wouldn't resonate with a lot of us. All right, what's next?
Next comes to us from Matt Mobile, who sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you. Sup, my moisty boys. So Johnny Depp's made 4 foreign films in the last few years, even one with Twilight Boy. Are they crap or great? Why no U.S. release? Has anyone seen these movies? Let's get moist, or not.
I haven't heard anything great. I haven't heard anything good about them. But obviously, like the actors, there are some situations where the actors do write the scripts, but in none of these situations did Johnny Depp write those scripts. So whether those movies are good or bad has nothing to do with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
So but I've not heard anything good about them. Obviously there's a stigmatism to certain things. I mean, look, we're gonna have to see what happens with Depp's career moving forward at this point. Still don't know. It's still kind of up in the air, but yeah, we'll see. What?
Nothing.
Did I miss something?
No. I was just saying I have an astigmatism too. It's my right eye. From Cutter Hale says, I'm going to go see Love and Thunder in a format called Screen X. It's a 3-screen theater where there's background on the side screens. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, we actually saw some demonstrations of it where it's like more immersive. Actually, there was one that had like a screen that almost went 180.
Wow.
With you. But yeah, so it kind of gives you that perspective. It would be a very different movie watching experience. It's supposed to be immersive. Sounds like something that would have been great for Top Gun.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I've not been in one of these. Have you guys been in any of these before?
I have not.
No.
All right. Really, let us know how that experience is for you. I'd be dying to know if that's any good or not.
Is that Regal?
I think it's Cinemark.
Is that like something like what the Cinerama Dome used to do when it was open? Rest in peace.
Sounds like it.
No,
because that was
this is like really goes.
They
way
add things. It's a gimmicky thing. It's not like it was shot.
I mean, so was Cinerama was gimmicky, but it was shot with 3 cameras. But this is like different because it has the backgrounds and all that.
Oh wow!
All right,
Cool.
What's next?
Next to us comes from Faley, who says everybody needs a socks toy.
Oh God, listen, Rob's got it.
I have one.
This guy doesn't even open it up. That was your birthday present.
Right here. It's my birthday present.
Well, you're not supposed to open it up.
It's
looks
mint
like
on
Rob.
card, bro.
It looks like young Rob in that package. Look at it, Aaron. Doesn't it look like young
I
Rob?
should open this up.
Looks like Dax
young
Lighthard, hard light.
Dax Lighthard.
What was your name?
Big Stark.
Big Darklighter. This is porn.
No,
name.
no.
From when
From now
Rob
on, it's
was
Dax
actually
Lighthard.
in a porn film. True.
My name is Ross Campbell.
Oh, Cutter Hale said Screen X is regal.
It is
So
regal.
we might
Okay.
be able to check a movie out someday.
All right. All right. What's next? We need to keep moving here. We're already way
Yeah,
over
so
time.
Aaron Moan says, I still can't believe the boys turned mother's milk into father's seed.
Woo!
Can we? Wow.
By the way, that was a visual
Yeah.
that will go down in infamy. That whole
And
shot.
Seth Rogen doing background voices on The Boys. He is living his best life. He is having all the fun.
Oh, what about the scene when he was the
Oh, yeah.
phone sex guy with? Oh my god.
Oh my, with Crimson.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's next?
From Jay, who sends in a $10 super chat. Hey, John and crew, have any of you guys been watching Jeff Bridges' show, The Old Man? In my opinion, it's one of the best shows on TV right now, and no one seems to be talking about it. And I'm pretty sure this exact question, word for word, was last week as well.
I can't wait to see
It may
the
have
show.
been, but I remember I jumped on Twitter and I said, "Hey guys, is anybody watching The Old Man?" Because I saw the trailer, looks really good. Does anybody watch it? Heard all great stuff about it. They just got renewed for season 2. So I am going to watch it. I just haven't had time to watch it yet. So probably sometime later this week, I'm going to sit down
I
and
feel
watch
like
it.
I should be binging that show and the Gary Oldman spy series like together.
Oh, yeah. That's another one I haven't started watching.
Yeah.
It's that Gary Oldman one. All right. What's next?
Next is from P. Dot says, Echo rumors are growing. Earlier, it was just that Karen, Foggy, and the Defenders are coming back. Now, Bethel's Bullseye will be the main villain.
I don't know how much validity there is to any of those rumors, so I don't pay a lot of attention to it. All right. What's next?
So 1253 Sir 3 says, hey guys, do you like movies about gladiators? I do, and I also like movies about airplanes. See what I did there?
Yeah, that
I
was
do.
a good comment. But of course, you were a star of a TV show about gladiators in Spartacus.
I was. Yes, I was.
There you go. All right. What's next?
Next is from Casey Mack, who says, I think people just need to move on. Hugh has played the part of Wolverine. He's pretty much over and done with it. It's time to cast somebody new.
Okay, but here's no, I agree, Casey. I do. If we're talking about who's going to be Wolverine in the MCU moving forward, in a satirical kind of movie like a Deadpool 3, understanding the background of Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, understanding that Hugh Jackman and Wolverine have been referenced heavily in the Deadpool movies up till now, we are talking about a novelty that could be very, very effective for a moment or a longer part in one single movie. So if we're talking about Wolverine, the new Wolverine for the new MCU, yeah, it shouldn't be Hugh Jackman at this point. But for something like this one specific circumstance, it could be really good. All right, what's next?
So Tevin Como says, with Top Gun continuing to amaze and break records, do you guys think they will try to push for a sequel with this updated cast?
No, I think they know there's no point in trying to do it. Now, narratively, this isn't true. But box office wise, they know there's no point in trying to do it without Tom Cruise. And I don't think Tom Cruise has any intention of doing another one. So, I mean, money changes everything.
Yeah.
But Tom Cruise seems pretty resolute that was it. So, and he's got other mountains to climb now. All right, what's next?
From Jose Garcia says, how about Deadpool crossing with the actor Hugh Jackman, and Deadpool is convinced that it's Wolverine, with Hugh stating, I'm just an actor.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about that. that you could totally do a Deadpool with Hugh Jackman being Hugh Jackman, right? You could totally do that. Again, because this is a satirical, fourth wall breaking kind of thing. There's a lot of different stuff you could do that could totally work theoretically. All right, what's next?
This comes from Michael Serta, who says, question for Aaron. Sure. Would you ever take a video game motion capture acting gig? Something like a Last of Us type story-driven game. Much love, crew. I actually have done motion capture video, a video game, and it was for... Oh gosh, I forget the name of it.
No,
I know, this is my problem. It's on IMDb. Just keep scrolling. It's on there. It's on there, I promise. But I did it and I loved it. I wore my little ping pong ball onesie and had a great time. It was fantastic.
Rob had
It was the
trouble.
anniversary.
I could tell
it
Rob
was the
had
sex
trouble
scene
getting
with
his head.
Manolis.
I had no joke.
And I would love to do more of them. So yeah, if you got a video game, call me.
All right, what's next?
Next is from Jamie Sundays, who says, yo, Ray, Laxus needs some 3ND players this 3ND players this year.
Lakers. The
Lakers
Lakers.
need some 3ND players this year, bro.
The
What's
Lakers need a
3&D?
lot. The 3 and D can shoot the three and play defense,
Oh, okay.
which is what all teams need. But the Lakers, of course, have needed it for the past couple seasons.
Yeah, well, they ain't going to get it with Russell Westbrook.
Oh yeah, I don't even want. Next season will just be a blank season for me.
By the way, super relieved they didn't end up getting Kyrie.
Kyrie Irving.
Oh, I'm so glad they didn't get
wow.
Kyrie. So glad they didn't get Kyrie. That guy's a team killer. All right, what's next?
For this comes to us from Jacory Robertson, who sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. I think the Ezra situation is similar to Wind River. Great movie, but it's tied to a garbage person. Oh, a garage person. I think you meant garbage person.
Yeah, garbage.
In Wind River's case, it was produced by Harvey Weinstein's company. I mean, sadly, there were a lot of really good movies produced by Harvey Weinstein's company.
A lot of Academy Award winning and
Shakespeare in Love, The English Patient.
Yeah.
Like Pulp Fiction, even though it didn't win Best Picture.
Clerks. Look, again, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible situation for everybody involved. And we're just going to have to see how this kind of plays out. I still think ultimately this movie gets released in theaters. They'll hide as much as they can hide. They'll make as much as they can make, and then they will move on. And but let's see. There are other options on the table. See what happens. All right.
Jason Frost.
Yes.
Infamous 2. Thank you. It was Infamous 2 was the video game that I did. Thank you, Jason
liked
Frost.
That video game.
Huh?
It was a really good game. I really liked it.
Infamous, I've only played the first version of PlayStation 3.
By the way,
really good.
By the way, another friend of ours who was a co-star with Aaron in Bitch Slap, a good Canadian girl named Julia Voth.
From Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Who was also in my movie, The Anniversary. She is most known for being Jill Valentine.
She is the physical representation of Jill Valentine.
Yeah, they modeled. She is the model of Jill Valentine. So cool.
So you can only imagine when in Bitch Slap they were like, "Okay, you and Julia are going to do a scene together where you're both wearing bikinis," and I was like, "No, the fuck we're not. I will wear a one-piece vintage bathing suit that covers me from head to toe, and she can wear the bikini because she was in the Maxim calendar 2 months in 1 year, so she can wear the bikini." Thank you very much.
You guys had a pretty intense, hot lesbian scene in that movie, though.
Oh, I put it on her.
Oh, dang.
Oh, yeah. No, I won't be in a bikini with her, but I'll definitely do everything else.
Put it on.
Wow, that's what I like to hear.
She's a very beautiful woman.
All right, what's next?
Next comes to us from Jeff Nicholas, who sends in a $10 super chat just to say, "Love y'all, live long and prosper."
Oh, thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate it. It's always great when people just want to send in something to be encouraging. So thank you so much for that, man, and thanks for being so supportive. All right, what's next?
From Cutter Hale says, "Dodgeball is one of my favorite comedies. I watched it again last night, and it makes me feel great every time. Have you ever seen Dodgeball? Thanks." That is weird because I walked into the kitchen and Tom was watching Dodgeball.
Really?
Last night, along with Cutter. Yes, it was so crazy. Cutter was actually in our living room.
Which, by the way, is also like one of my favorite guys who I like early in my, like back in the movie blog days, there were two people that not a lot of people knew their names. I said, these two people are going to be huge, huge. One was James Franco. I said, you watch this kid, James Franco, he's going to be very, very big. That did work out. The other one was Justin Long. Who, while he has had a good career, he deserves to be up there with names like John C. Reilly and guys like that. It's like this, he's comedically so funny. And he's a good actor.
Yep.
And he should be much bigger than he is. But anyway, he was in Dodgeball.
But you know what? He might just need to age into himself.
Maybe.
I feel like similar to Alec Baldwin, we didn't really know he was funny until he got old. And then all of a sudden he was hilarious. And so I feel like Justin Long might be one of those people. Missy Pyle, who is unrecognizable in Dodgeball, but she's so funny. I love Missy Pyle in anything she does.
One of my all-time favorite lines in any comedy. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. I love that line.
I love the line when they're trying to raise money and they're like, "Whoa, we could sell our semen and blood," and someone cringes and he's like, "What? We're not going to mix it together."
Steve the Pirate as well. All right, what's next?
Next to us comes from Blue Rock, just an Aaron appreciation post. Thank you, Aaron. You're a true vision of beauty and an inspiration. Mwah.
Aw, thank you, Blue Rock. Appreciate
That's so
that,
nice.
man.
From Jack Tarrant, who says, "Love from Canada. You guys make my day. Bring on the filthy."
Woo, where in Canada? I always like to, don't just tell me you guys are from Canada. Let me know where in Canada. I'd love to hear that. Okay.
I want to come to your house. From Kayon Bergen says, with a $10 super chat, "Hey, team, happy Wednesday. Aaron, always happy when you're around. Thank you. What do you guys think of them them actually having the movie apps updated to have a start time for the trailers and then the movie.
Listen, if you actually tell us what time the movie starts, you can have an hour and a half of trailers for all I care.
Yep.
If you just tell us when the movie starts, if you want to say showtime starts at 7, movie begins 8:05, I'm good. Just don't lie to us anymore.
But do the studios pay for the trailers spots as like commercials, like ad time?
Yes, there is some money.
Well, then if that's the case, then they're not going to be able to do that, because then the people would not be paying to have their trailers up, knowing that people would just come after the trailers.
Right, but that would be a replacement for a current problem of people are paying to see a movie and then being forced to watch a half hour of commercials. Like, that's unacceptable.
Yep.
And it is undermining and eroding the movie-going experience for people. And they need to open that's why I almost stood and cheered when the CEO of Paramount said to the theaters, hey guys, let's stop playing so many trailers. I wanted to frickin' throw roses at the guy. Like, yes.
That's why I missed the ArcLight, John. As you know, they played 3 trailers.
3 trailers, movie starts.
And the thing about that is when you've seen 5 trailers or 6 trailers, I don't even remember what trailers.
Yep, they all just start bleeding together. And then
Yeah.
you forget what movie you're even there to see.
Absolutely. I hate that.
All right, what's next?
Next to us is a nice super chat from Brian Dickerson, as well as Connie.
Our
Hi,
friend Connie.
Hello, Connie.
How you doing,
Where have
Connie?
you been all my
Where have you
life?
been, Connie?
And guys,
Oh,
okay,
wait,
do we have
Ray
more
said-
I just
from our
got-
members?
I got 4 of them. Just let's get through them real quick. Well, congratulations to Michelle O'Rourke. She's pregnant. I guess her and her husband are big fans.
Congrats.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's
Wanted to
exciting.
shout her out. We got one from Manny Garcia. Hey team, went to see a secret movie screening last week to a DC movie and thought it was really awesome despite not liking the first that much. Can't say much else, but rhymes with Wasm.
Yeah, it's Shazam.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, it didn't like the first one that
Shazam.
much. Well, there's only one that had a first one that's coming out.
Okay.
Which is, and I've been hearing good things about it, so
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Okay, Never Lose Your Nerd writes, rewatched Pacific Rim and almost forgot how much I love this movie.
Bruh.
Really wish Charlie Hunnam and Del Toro would come back for a third movie. Love y'all.
Pacific Rim rules.
Yes, it does.
It rules. I like to call it Pacific Rim something else, but I won't say it. I love that movie. That movie is so good. It's everything I ever wanted as a 6-year-old, writ large on the big screen as an adult, and it still works.
Yep,
God, I
yep.
love that movie.
Spying Mentor 087 writes, hello crew, what are your thoughts on Bob Chapek extending his contract as CEO? until
It was totally
2025?
predictable. Look, I told you guys last week when the thing came up about Abigail Disney was going to mount a challenge to his salary, and I told you guys, the board isn't going to do that. They don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the stock price of Disney. And for the shareholders too, like that kind of leadership upheaval, especially after only a couple of years, it's not surprising. It was totally predictable. We knew this was coming. What I'm a little bit encouraged by was it wasn't that long of an extension.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Only to 2025. So, I mean, I think that in and of itself is a little bit. Now, other CEOs have also sometimes had extensions that short, but I think that actually makes a little bit of a statement too. But again, unsurprising. Nobody wants to rock the boat on the stock price right now because a leadership upheaval right now would totally crash the stock. So, and we said this days ago, so no surprise about it. It was totally expected.
Okay, I got one last one from Adam Mooney. He says, speaking of Peacemaker, when do you think we'll get season 2? I think we all really want to taste it again.
Yeah, we do, but I as far as I know, they're not even shooting it yet. So
Yeah, no.
I no idea. I want it tomorrow, but no idea.
James Gunn's in post on Guardians 3 anyway.
Yeah, he's working on that. It's going to take a little bit of time. And I think Cena's got like 4 projects going right now. So anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making the show part of your day. Big special thank you to you guys who sent in those super chats. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. Number 2, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for your support. Don't forget the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow. Make sure you click that subscribe button, click the thumbs up, leave a comment below, and we can't wait to hear from you guys. So, for everybody in the room, myself, John Campea, Robert Meyer Burnett, Aaron Cummings, and of course, Joey Bishop, who's standing up there on the desk looking so cute. Ray Ora, producer Jonathan Voico. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. We'll see you next time. And until then, my friends, bye-bye.